Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. We are live. It is Friday. Thank you all for being here. We've got a lot to talk about based on what has happened over the past, not even 24 hours, realistically over the past 5 days, because this week it's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those weeks. Do you guys even remember we had Palantir earnings on Monday? Like, I think it's just been such a crazy week in terms of everything that has happened with Palantir, obviously, given how that stock has performed, but also throughout the rest of the week in terms of all the different pieces of macro news. We got a bunch of India headlines this morning. We had a ton of other companies report over the past 2 days. And so we'll be covering and talking about all those companies. Rock Lab, that was a big one last night, so we'll be talking about that. But it's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those weeks. And yes, I'm late. I'm sorry. I'm late, but we're here. This has just been an incredible week to be an investor. And I think this month, the scariest of the scary months, like in August, I guess at least in the first 7 days is not that scary. S&P 500 hitting all-time highs, Nvidia trying to crack 185. I mean, maybe we have more volatility to go in the next couple of weeks, but given all the stuff coming out with Trump and the new Fed governor in India, I mean, you do have little like things that could shock the market, get volatility to spike up. And it happened last Friday, August 1st, for a little bit, and now it's kind of just died out. So we're going to see if that continues to play out throughout the month of August. But yeah, it's been a very emotional and exciting week. ChatGPT 5 came out yesterday. I mean, there's just so many things happening. Again, I think the theme over the past couple of months on this show has been that this is the greatest time to be an investor. And one of the reasons it's the greatest time to be an investor is because we have a massive tailwind that is affecting every single part of our lives. And as a result of that, it's leading to such insane levels of productivity, margin enhancement, growth, etc., that it's really making, I think, all of us grateful to be able to be invested in the market. So we got some Tesla news from last night we'll talk about in regards to Dojo. Accelera, not a bad performer. That's up 12% after earnings. We'll talk a little bit about that. They had earnings last night. TTD, unfortunately, they got into the S&P 500 3 weeks ago over some other companies that I think, could have made the S&P. Stock's down 33%, not really on earnings, but because the CFO left the company. On top of that, I mean, the revenue wasn't a miss, but it wasn't that good. But 33% just feels like this company was very fragile in the eyes of investors. And the CFO leaving plus a slight deceleration on revenue, but not a miss on earnings, is what's leading this thing to be down 33%. But I don't even think it's like, you can't even say it should be down 33%. You should be, okay, 10%, 15%. If you really want to push it 33% just feels like people do not like what's going on in the company. So you do have some stocks that, and I think that's actually good though, because in a high beta driven environment, if you don't put up the numbers like an Open Door, your stock should fall. If you put up the numbers, your stock should get all the praise. And so I think it's actually rather healthy, and we're just going to see ultimately how this plays out going into the end of the month when we have Nvidia, which will be the biggest earnings that we have to look at as well. So we will get into all of that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is Friday. Let's start off with this to end out the week. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching from? Let's do a check of where everyone is across the world. Again, thank you all for being here. It is, again, it's been one of those weeks. It's been quite a special week, especially for Palantir investors. While you guys are typing where you are watching from, I was going through some of my old Palantir videos last night, and I found this clip. Some of the OGs will remember this. Some of the people that have just found me have probably never seen this video, but before Q1 2023, I did a earnings prediction video. The stock was at $7 outside. And this is a clip of one of those videos from being outside. And, now 2 years later, the company just reported $1 billion in 90 days.
First thing I want to see in Palantir's Q1 2023 earnings is U.S. commercial growth. Full year 2021, they did $201 million of revenue. By full year 2022, that went up 67% to $335 million of revenue. Alex Karp has basically gone on pretty much every interview over the past couple months and has said U.S. commercial is growing like a weed. Now, last time I checked, weed makes you high. So if it's growing like a weed, it should be growing high. And so I'm pretty excited for U.S. commercial growth. First thing I want to...
Dude, this is just like, first of all, this lawnmower in the back. Yeah, so many comments like, is that your grinder date? Which you guys are crazy about. Like, I hate everybody for saying that. But then the watch, the time is now watch. I don't know if it was working. Then the slippers with the slacks. Then whatever the hell is on my neck. I don't even know what that is. I mean, like, when I say I don't know how to dress or I don't have any fashion sense, like you're looking at it right here. You're looking at it right here. But these were the videos back in the days when we were just trying to keep the energy fun and exciting because the stock was depressed and, just like the community needed some uplift. And so we did some fun stuff like that. And, now we're here today. So it's been a hell of a journey. It has been a hell of a journey. All right, where are we watching from? We've got Alabama, we got Mexico, Nashville, New Jersey, Dallas, Florida, driving back home to Houston. I love it. Chicago, Illinois, not Illinois, Illinois. I know how to pronounce my states. Toronto, Scotland, Tennessee, the UK, Scranton, Pennsylvania. We got San Diego. We got North Dakota, California, the Philippines, Florida, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I love it. I am also in New Jersey as well. By the way, in New Jersey, it's getting cold. I was talking to my sister yesterday. I was like, it's kind of cold, right? She's like, yeah, it's kind of chilly. Like we had 1 month of extreme heat and now it's like fall weather. So it's not like winter cold, but like it's getting like you can't just wear shorts outside. Like it kind of feel, you need a hoodie. So New Jersey will change you super quick. But that's also why I love being on the Northeast. The temperature is amazing. No, Nancy Pelosi did not comment on my X profile yesterday. That's a parody account of Nancy Pelosi. So they use Nancy in her profile picture. I know which account you're talking about, but it's not Nancy Pelosi. But someone else did comment on my X post last night, and he's been commenting on a lot of my posts. He has not followed me yet. I'm trying to figure out how to get this guy to follow me, but we'll talk about his post in a second. We got Edison, New Jersey. We got India. We got the UK. We got Chad from California. Amir from Virginia. Harsh from India. A lot of India. We got Dexter from Singapore. Shout out to Dexter. Duolingo. I think this whole GPT-5 kills Duolingo argument is stupid, but Duolingo did go down from the highs yesterday. But shout out to Dexter. He's big in Duolingo, and that one had a great day in terms of their earnings. We got Dutchland, Atlanta, Canada, Dubai, Twin Cities, Minnesota. I love it. Philippines, Sweden, Montreal, North Dakota, Orange County, California. It's awesome, dude. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. Nepal, Detroit, Germany, Montreal, Singapore. It is just so freaking cool that people across the world come together for this show every morning. I mean, really, 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 I don't know what to say. It honestly leaves me speechless and very, very, very grateful that we can all come together as a community and we can all make investment decisions as a community that can help further our lives. And given the nature of the past 4 months and really the past couple of weeks, as we've seen a lot of portfolios do very well, it's been based on collective due diligence. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's get into it. Let's get started. I think we'll start off with Tessie. Let's start off with Tessie. That's some of the big news. Tempest AI did have earnings this morning, so we'll talk about all the companies that had earnings. But let's start off with Tesla. So we got some breaking news from Bloomberg last night. As per Bloomberg, Tesla is winding down their efforts with Dojo. For those that don't know what Dojo is, which I'm not the most well-versed in that vertical of Tesla's business, but essentially it's like their compute AI data center stack that should have enough capabilities, in the words of Elon, to not necessarily make them not use Nvidia or AMD, but make sure the reliance on it significantly goes down. And back in Q3 of 2023 on the earnings call, Elon said there is a low probability of success with Dojo. That's what he said word for word, but he said it's still worth pursuing. Well, apparently Tesla's winding down their efforts. They're focusing their compute needs on Nvidia, AMD, and Samsung. We saw that they got that $16 billion Samsung deal the other day. And Pete Bannon, who is the VP, is now leaving Tesla after most of the Dojo team has begun to leave. My take, very simple, not a big deal. The hype on Tesla's FSD, Optimus, Robotaxi, it deepens the moat on Nvidia because obviously Tesla cannot, not rely on Nvidia, but it's not one of the major reasons to be excited about Tesla. Like, I don't think people are buying it for Dojo. People are buying the stock for a lot of other reasons. So to me, it was kind of a nothing burger. Well, Elon responded last night. And this is what Elon had to say. He said, it doesn't make sense for Tesla to divide its resources and scale two quite different AI chip designs. The Tesla AI 5, AI 6, and subsequent chips will be excellent for inference and at least pretty good for training. All effort is focused on that. So everyone was like, okay, cool. Elon confirmed the Bloomberg news. He's right. There's going to be a less reliance on Dojo as the basis for like compute needs and making servers and setting up all the racks inside of Tesla's own facilities. It's not worth it. They're going to go to Nvidia and AMD. Then he comments and says, in a supercomputer cluster, it would make sense to put many AI 5, AI 6 chips on a board, whether for inference or training, simply to reduce network cabling complexity cost by a few orders of magnitude. One could call that Dojo 3, I suppose. And so then everyone was like, wait a second, what? So technically you are still holding on to Dojo. And then he said the difference in real world performance between AI4 and AI5 is far more than any chip version I've ever heard of by a lot. It's really good. And so you just had a lot of questions from people saying, wait a second. So are you going to rely on NVIDIA? Or are you not going to rely on NVIDIA when it comes to inference in the supercomputer? Is AI5, AI6 going to be kind of the core argument? And so Sawyer Merritt, who is a great Tesla analyst, here's his take on everything Elon said. It sounds like the dedicated Dojo chip that was previously in development no longer is in development, but they're creating a new version of Dojo built on AI5 and AI6, which thanks to big performance upgrades will at least meet some of Tesla's needs that previously dedicated Dojo chip wouldn't have served. This will let them save money and reduce complexity. Worth noting of Elon's comments that most training in the future will be inference for the sole purpose of training, aka synthetic data. I think what Elon is saying here is that in the future, a lot of the training process won't involve gathering and processing massive new real-world data sets. Instead, it will rely on inference, aka artificial synthetic data. So even though inference and training are usually thought of as separate, in this approach, inference becomes a major part of training. And he said, I hope I'm interpreting this all correctly because he's not even fully sure if this makes sense. So, I mean, like, yeah, I don't think everyone fully understands what's going on here, but I think the headline from Bloomberg is correct. Tesla is going to be relying a lot less on their own version of Dojo or whatever capabilities they had of Dojo, which, by the way, is not anything new. Like, they've been buying a lot of chips from Nvidia, AMD, and Samsung in order to be able to scale their operations. And Elon's probably like, hey, I should be more focused on Robotaxi and Optimus because I'm going to need a lot of these chips, tens of millions of these chips to actually scale Robotaxi and Optimus to the world. And instead of focusing on it uniquely at Tesla or internally at Tesla, it's not that they're not going to have any level of inference training, for example, is what he said with the AI5, AI6, which maybe reduces their demand for AMD in the future since AMD is heavily rooted in inference. But they might not, that day might be farther than we all think, I think is the point. And so that means real data is not a moat. Theoretically, I mean, we were talking about that yesterday. Like the simple bear case on Robotaxi, if Nvidia is able to use their Cosmos training platform to create synthetic data of real world driving, and then everyone has a version of FSD in their car, regardless of buying a Tesla, yeah, that can definitely be a bear case for Robotaxi. So I think time will tell in terms of what we see play out with synthetic data, real world data, but Tesla stock, not really that affected. I mean, he's down 0.5%. Again, I've not thought about Dojo since the last time Elon mentioned it on the earnings call, which was really a year and a half ago. So I didn't buy Tesla for Dojo. I think the overall applications of AI can scale much more than whatever a Dojo could do for them internally. And that to me is the bigger story when it comes to Tesla. So those are my thoughts on what Elon said yesterday. And it ultimately means they're going to be buying more Nvidia and AMD. I mean, I think Elon said read between the lines. Eventually, we will use AI and AI5 and AI6 for inference. But for now, we're going to need a lot of chips. And they just signed a $16 billion deal with Samsung with a lot of ability for Elon to be able to be part of the chip manufacturing process to make sure it's efficient. So they're going to be combined with these companies in terms of the manufacturing process to get it to scale for them. But they're likely not going to be making it themselves, which to me at this point probably makes sense. Nvidia right here, 181.79. That is green in the pre-markets. Palantir hit 184 yesterday. We were at 184.30. The highs were 184.48. I mean, again, just been an incredible week for Palantir. And it's holding 184 right here in the pre-markets. And then Hoodie woke up yesterday, 111.99. We hit 112 yesterday, closed at 111. I think Hood should be 120 by now. Bitcoin and Ethereum are having some momentum. Ethereum really tried to get to 4,000 last night, was not able to crack it. Ethereum right here, 38.95. I think the crypto in your 401k news really got the market excited. And that's why Hood got some momentum. And that's why we're seeing the green over the past couple of days and in the pre-market. Okay, cool. So let's talk about some of the earnings we have. So yesterday, what did we have on earnings? I'm just going to read through some of the price action, then we'll go into some specific ones. Rocket Lab actually up 7%. Those earnings were not phenomenal. They were not horrible either, but the market likes it. They got a lot of upgrades this morning, so we'll talk about that. Rocket Lab right there is up 7%. SoundHound, I mean, they had a pretty good quarter. They beat revenue, growing 36% year over year. They raised their adjusted EBITDA guidance. I mean, they had enough growth, I would argue, for a company that's short at 30% to be able to make a move. And that's what's happening. And hopefully, if the shorts want to cover, that can even be a juicier squeeze when the market opens. So that one right there, up 24%. Trade Desk, again, the CFO left. Revenue guidance was a little flat. That's down 35%. Block, decent quarter. That's up 7%. Monsters up 7%. NewScale down 1.4%. CleanSpark flat. MP, that's up 8%. They crushed earnings. Instacart up 10%. That's good for the consumer. Wynn Resorts down 2%. Sweetgreen down 27%. I guess people are not eating salads as much. Serve Robotics down 3%. They actually had a really bad quarter, so that one was down more, but that's down 3%. Atlassian, that's up 3%. Take-Two, Grand Theft Auto is coming out May 26th next year. They officially confirmed it. Who knows if there will be a delay, but they did confirm Grand Theft Auto. That's up 5%. Accelera, we'll talk more about that. Arnie posted a little bit about them in the morning, so we'll see what he says. That's up 10%. And then Pinterest was down 13%. Pinterest was down 13%. Pinterest grew their MAUs. They grew their revenue 17%, but ultimately the market did not love it. Now, in terms of the earnings we had this morning, we had a bunch of different companies. So let me just pull them up real quick. I think the main one, or one of the main ones that a lot of people care about, is Fubo. And they had a beat on the top and the bottom. Beat by 33% on EPS, 2 cents a share versus 3. Beat by 1% on revenue, 371 versus 367. So that is also a beat for Fubo. And that stock currently, right now, is up 3.5%. It was up, I think, 15% for the week. So not a big move on earnings, but it was up for the week, which was very good as well. And so that's what we got for Fubo. The other companies we had today that I think some people care about is Tempest, Under Armour, missed by 3% on EPS, beat on revenue. TeraWulf, they beat by 17% on EPS, missed by 3% on revenue. Tempest right here, this is a big Kathy stock and a Pelosi stock. That one was green. Beat by 12% on EPS, beat by 6% on revenue. Revenue's up 90% year over year. EPS is up 65%. Again, Nancy Pelosi has in the money calls on Tempest AI. Tempest is up 8% in the pre-markets, and she bought them when Tempest was 25. So this one has worked out very well for her as well. And so did, I mean, honestly, Kathy bought this thing at like 25, 30. So both of them getting some momentum on these two. BMNR. This one was running yesterday, and given Ethereum surge, I think it has helped it as well. BMNR right there up 4%, 42.67. It was 45 about 3 weeks ago, so it's starting to get back to those levels. And SBET now has 530,000 Ethereum. They also bought some more Ethereum yesterday. That one is up 1.1%. I think everyone's waiting for Ethereum to get over 4K, and I think we all know it's very possible to get there. But, like, the thing is just being stubborn. I mean, like, it was at 39.57, yeah, 39.69, ironically, 39.69 in the market. They just didn't let it get to 4,000. So I think once this gets above that, we'll have a little bit more of a run. But we're going to have to see how that one plays out. And then Grab in the pre-markets. Where's Mr. Grabby Grab? Grab's $4.99. Grab is at $4.99, up about 1% in the pre-market. S&P 500 as well, up about 0.22%. Now, in terms of Rocket Lab, so the revenue was a beat, and they beat by 36, or they grew 36% year over year. EPS, they lost 13 cents versus 11 cents expected, so a little bit less than what the street thought. I didn't listen to the call, but from some of the people that I heard about in terms of what they, or would talk to after the call, they said the call was fine. They said Neutron's on track. They said Peter Beck is not, I think there was one quote where Peter Beck said he's not going to be sacrificing short-term momentum or he will sacrifice short-term momentum for long-term gain. He's very focused on being able to get Neutron up and running, which is ultimately what people are going to care about. And apparently they're also going to be having a retail shareholder event for the Neutron launch site in Virginia, which is something they announced, which is also very exciting. Now, in terms of the price targets, I think the stock is up right here because the street's happy that you got some green. Needham went from 48 to 55, Cantor 35 to 55, Roth 35 to 50, and KeyBank 40 to 50. So you got upgrades across the board. This stock was at 53 a month ago. So I think a lot of these analysts are trying to front run before they gets back there because they do think based on these earnings, there is a good shot it could get back there. And if you bought Rocket Lab in the 20s or low 30s this year, based on that April dip, kind of think these earnings are enough to hold it up. That Rocket Lab is an expensive stock, but again, the market cap compared to some of these other private companies is just like abysmal. Rocket Lab's 20 billion, SpaceX is 450 billion. If you think there's any level of potential Rocket Lab can become even 10% of what SpaceX becomes, there is alpha. And as a result, I think that's why it's going to be able to hold some of this momentum. SoundHound now up 25%. Again, this thing, I'll get the exact short float on this bad boy, but earnings were good. There's nothing to complain about the earnings if you are a SoundHound shareholder. And again, SoundHound makes AI software for restaurants. That's one of their main markets to automate a lot of the ordering experience as well. So, I mean, you would imagine a lot of restaurants see productivity and margin increases from using AI. I've been to like a Starbucks where it's an AI voice. And so that seems to be all coming from SoundHound. Short float is 33.75%. 33.75%. So there can be a squeeze. There can absolutely be a squeeze. Yeah, AppLovin as well did great. AppLovin as well has done great. I mean, it was a stupid dip as soon as the numbers came out, but App 11 right here also gaining some momentum. Now, there you go, up another 2%, up 12% yesterday, 444. I mean, App 11 deserves to be here. That 77% revenue growth is hard to deny that momentum. And that's why you're seeing some love from App 11. Yeah, SoundHound also does AI in cars. That's correct. They also do AI in cars. Okay, so let's talk about India and the United States and what's going on there. So India and the United States have been going back and forth in regards to different ideas of how the countries should do trade. There was a report by Bloomberg this morning that said India is going to be pausing their efforts to buy U.S. arms and defense equipment, and the Indian defense minister is going to cancel his plan to visit the U.S. But then India came out and said, we are denying the report on pausing talks for U.S. defense purchases. Trump now has 50% tariffs on India. Look, as an Indian, my perspective is very simple. We need to keep a good relationship with the United States. India needs to make sure they don't prioritize Russia or China. I mean, are you kidding me? Over the United States. And so I would hope that the Indian delegation recognizes that you got to work with Trump, as weird as he may be. Also, Modi actually likes Trump a lot more than Biden. It's pretty obvious in the way they interact. So I think a lot of this is just back and forth in order to get a deal done. But the fact that India's defense ministry came out like an hour after the Bloomberg broke the report that they're halting plans to buy U.S. arms, it was basically them saying, hey, whoa. We're not, maybe we're negotiating with the U.S., but we're not going to stop buying their products. Like, don't get that, still the U.S. And it's good they did that before Trump had a chance to react to it, because obviously Trump would not have been happy if that was the case. So I think there will be a deal done between the United States and China. I don't know when, but hopefully it'll happen. And yeah, you got this headline right here. Prime Minister Modi reaffirms dedication to strengthen India's unique strategic partnership with Russia during talks with President Putin. Look, I get that India needs oil. I understand that. They have their own national interests, but I really hope India is not going down the route of thinking Putin is their friend over the United States, because that's not the case. So I would hope that we get a deal done, and that deal is going to be rather necessary to get done for India trade relations with the United States. But if not, they're going to have to deal with tariffs. And I don't think India wants to deal with those tariffs. And no matter how much Russian cheap oil you get, you're not going to want to deal with 50% tariffs from the United States. And so hopefully that deal gets done. I am pretty confident there will be a deal done in the next month. I mean, India media was reporting that this is all back and forth between the administration, but eventually it should get done. Palantir right here, 184.16. I mean, I think we bring out the big bell at 185 again. It's been 2 times in a row this week. We didn't get to do it yesterday, but my goodness, this has just been incredible. It has just been absolutely incredible. And again, more and more companies are talking about Palantir on the earnings as well. I mean, Chad posted another thing yesterday of, I think it's like the 10th company this week that brought up their partnership with Palantir on the earnings. So obviously these companies are trying to continue to explain why the ontology is so important, why it matters to companies. The company AIG was the company that talked about it yesterday. And it's just pretty incredible, because a lot of these companies are wanting to show the market that they're AI companies as well, or they have an AI angle, and that is based on their partnership with Palantir. Nvidia right here is at 181.57. AMD, again, nasty week because of earnings, but AMD right here up another 1%, so that started to recover as well, which is not too bad. And Apple got the 220 close yesterday. Apple, there you go, 221 in the pre-markets. I think one thing that really began to help August is Apple kissing the ring and getting ready to participate in this bull market, because we needed Apple, and Apple's here, which is very nice to see, given the NASDAQ and the S&P would love Apple to participate. Now, in terms of companies and the overall reports of earnings, we have a new update on the earnings, and it's pretty damn good, folks. It's pretty damn good. We'll talk about Nebius in a second as well. S&P 500, 83% of companies have beat. 445 out of the 500 S&P 500 companies have reported as per yesterday. 83% of them have beat, and they beat by an average of 7.1%. Technology companies, 94% beat. Consumer discretionary, 76%. Communication, 80%. Defensives, 84%. Near cyclicals, 86%. Real estate, 94%. Who would have thought? Real estate. Financials, 86%. Energy, 76%. Healthcare, 86%. Consumer staples, 89%. Utilities, 75%. And again, that average beat is by 7%. I mean, you can say the S&P 500 is expensive. You can say the market is a little overheated. You can say there's some froth in the market, although that froth has started to die down based on the Open Doors and the Krispy Kremes. Krispy Kreme was down 14% yesterday, not really getting that much momentum. But you cannot deny that earnings are real. You cannot deny that earnings are real. And it is very, very, very exciting to see these earnings get this momentum. And as a result, as shareholders, if you're invested in the market, the one thing you can hang your hat on, even if you think there are some different elements that can make you feel a little bit more cautious about the market, is that earnings growth is strong. And that is very exciting to see. Nebius right here, 67.30. That's up 3%. I mean, look, they had a phenomenal quarter. I was actually talking to someone last night who recently really started getting deep into Nebius. And I was asking him, what do you think? Like, you think it's still cheap right here? And he said, dude, it's a market cap of 16 billion. They have a lot of cash on the 15 billion. They have a lot of cash on the balance sheet. They're growing phenomenally well, 625% year over year. The CEO and founder, they are an exceptional management team. They have a lot of diversified parts of their business. They're in the hottest sector ever, which is AI data center and the compute CapEx trade. And so he thinks there's a real 10-year thesis on these guys, really led by the Nvidias, CoreWeaves, AMDs of the world. And they're a smaller version of that that's going to be a major beneficiary. So, I mean, these retail trades like a Nebius, like a SoundHound, obviously a Hood, a Palantir, a Rocket Lab. I mean, SoFi, 22.33, SoFi trying to finally get back into that 23-24 range. And the fact that SoFi is doing this even without the dilution concerns, because, the dilution stuff was a little bit annoying, but now it's trying to get back to the levels it was at earnings. I mean, you just got a lot of names that are really getting AMD. I know it's not a quote unquote retail trade, but at $70, retail was the one that was really analyzing it more than the institutional guys. It's been a strong year for retail. A very strong year for retail. Yeah, and I think CoreWeave's up 25% in the past 3 days because Nebius, usually Nebius moves off CoreWeave, but CoreWeave this time is moving in response to Nebius. CoreWeave right here, 125 in the pre-markets. There is just a lot of excitement in the data center space. Yeah, only 3 analysts cover Nebius. Exactly. Only 3 analysts cover Nebius. And so, this is retail. This has been a retail-driven market, and now the institutional investors are having to support that retail-driven market by buying at these levels. I mean, okay, let me show you guys something real quick. So 13Fs and 13Gs should be coming out in literally by next week, and we're going to get a lot more data on what's going on. Let me show you something that kind of proves my point about some of the big money chasing Palantir. So Dataroma is the website that tracks all the buys and sells of what these super investors are doing. When you type in Palantir on this website, I'll link it in the chat. For the past 8 quarters, and I'm not kidding, for the past 8 quarters, you didn't have any buys or sells. Look at that. Buys 1, sells 230. None of the super investors that disclose their 13Fs or 13Gs are ever say that they're about Palantir. Last night, and this is the first of hopefully many, David Katz of Matrix Asset Advisors, who manages $988 million. So we're talking about $1 billion fund, not like it's necessarily smart. Guess what? He decided to buy 2,313 shares at $136 of Palantir. Now, I'm not saying 2,000 shares at 136 is the biggest money in the world. What I'm saying is imagine all of these different $1 billion funds, $500 million funds, $700 million funds saying, you know what? I got to get some exposure. I'm going to buy a couple thousand shares. I mean, there's an argument for the institutional investors that I mean, it's just hard to imagine retail is carrying this thing to 420 billion. And I'm not saying, the institutional investors are buying tens of millions of shares, but if you have lots of these firms buying a little bit of it because they just want some exposure at 136 turned out to be a good price, even though he probably thought it was expensive at 136. That is where I think you're seeing some of the price appreciation on Palantir. And when you have the earnings results that they gave on Monday that are so undeniable, it's also hard to be bearish if you're an institutional investor as well. And so we're going to get a lot more 13Fs and 13Gs coming out over the coming weeks. But I think we are seeing a trend that some of these institutions that have to buy a Palantir at 131 or 136, they have to buy an Nvidia at freaking 170. If they missed it, they have to buy a Hood at 100. They just have to buy some of these names because they were late. They missed the April dip. They missed the May run up, the June run up, and then July, they're having to buy at more aggressive levels. And if they miss July, they have to buy in August. And that is also what's keeping the market elevated as well. Yeah, I'll link it right here in the chat. Dataroma is the website to look at for a lot of these 13Fs, 13Gs. Technique by Cowboy. Thank you for the $50 super chat. I learned a lot about options. Thanks to you and TJ. Have been going well until last night. I have 10 contracts of cash secured puts expiring today for TTD at 75. Should I try to roll them over or take the assignment and use covered calls until it recovers? So given TTD, It's a great question. And first of all, I wouldn't freak out. Everyone's going to be in the situation. If you play with options, you are going to end up in a situation where the stock falls and you're super in the money, and it is what it is, right? So I've been in that situation. TJ's been in that situation. All of us have dealt with it. So TTD right here is at 58. What I would do is I would give it about 20 minutes of price action, or give it 30 minutes until 10 a.m. Eastern. I wouldn't do anything, and I would see kind of how it plays out. Because realistically, in my opinion, I don't think this should dip even further. I mean, I could obviously be wrong, and this could go down to $40, but they just got into the S&P 500. It's not like they missed on earnings. This feels like an egregious overreaction to me, and I think your puts ultimately will be fine. But I would give it 30 minutes to see how bad it actually gets. Then I would roll. I would keep the same strike at 75. I wouldn't even try to roll down. I would roll out a month. I would say, hey, let's give it another month. Let's give the contract a little bit more time. Let's see if this thing can recover. Realistically, if there is not a thesis breaker, and this is where you have to know about the stock, right? So I don't know enough about Trade Desk. You sold puts on Trade Desk, obviously, for a reason. Hopefully the reason was you are interested in owning these shares at 75. Now the stock's below 75. You get punched in the face. You're like, well, I don't really know if I want to own these shares at 75, right? It is what it is. It's natural. Everyone has to deal with it. But if you did it purely for a premium play, then you're going to have to roll the position in management and try to make sure that you don't get assigned. If you did it because you actually understand the company, and you think 58 is an egregious price and 75 is way more reasonable, given the stock was $90 yesterday, then I would keep it at 75, give yourself more time on the contract, roll it, collect some premium, reduce your cost basis, and hopefully in a recovers to 75, or at least gets closer to 75, so you can roll it again, and you can get closer to eventually getting out of the money on these puts. So those are my thoughts on that. But the number one thing is I wouldn't freak out, because it is what it is. I've sold puts on a stock before. It drops immediately the day after. And then you're like, all right, now I'm bag holding. Now I'm holding these stocks. And you have to ask yourself, do you care about these stocks or do you not? And if you don't, then it is what it is. You have to manage the position. If you do, and you know that TTD should not be at $54, then I think you just give yourself some more time on the contract and keep going from there. So that's how I would manage. Down about 34%. AMD's up 1%. Apple is up 0.5% right here. Rocket Lab up 6.2. Grab again up 1%. Bitmine up 4. Fubo's up 2.4. Hoodie, I think we can break 113 today, folks. That's the all-time high. I really think the momentum is there. You got Bitcoin and Ethereum doing okay. It's Friday. We're super green. Maybe it's a rug pull. It is a Friday. Who knows if this green can sustain itself, but there's not any fundamental headwinds I'm seeing in the news that would cause today to be a massive red day, but maybe we get back some of the gains. And so we got to see when the market opens. Weebis International launches XRP token and Ripple USD stablecoin payments on its WeTor platform. Okay, Steve's going to be happy about that, even though I have no idea what exactly Weebis International is. But there you go. You know, some people were messaging me saying Chainlink is the platform that I need to be looking at more. And I know a lot of you guys might be fans of that platform. Yeah, Chainlink has like a $20 billion market cap and XRP has like a $180 billion market cap. So there's a lot of the crypto bros that think Chainlink and the sort of interoperability of Chainlink and sort of the platform approach they take, they're calling it the Palantir of crypto essentially, is way better than an XRP, which isn't that relevant in a world of stable coins when cross-border payments and remittances are going to be solved via different blockchains. And so I don't know, maybe it's something to look into. It's the 14th largest crypto in the world, about a $14 billion market cap. XRP, much above that. But yeah, that one maybe requires some due diligence. Trump has not tweeted all morning. So Trump yesterday had a press conference in the White House. And in that press conference, he basically showed off some new statistics. I couldn't even tell you exactly what the statistics say. We tried to watch it, and it was just like, I had no idea what he was presenting. But it was basically these reports on income per household and housing to show that he's doing 10x better than Biden. And then he said he nominated a new Fed governor. He nominated a dove to replace Governor Kugler, who stepped down 2 weeks ago. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion. Even if they dissent on the next September vote, that we're going to get a rate cut in September. So it's not like, you know, you have some dove who's going to persuade J-Powell. I mean, there's a 92% probability that we're going to get a rate cut based on some of that labor market data. Now, CPI next week is going to be very important. Everyone needs to watch out for CPI because the labor market's weak, which is why we're getting this 92% chance of a rate cut in September. If CPI comes in hot, like really hot, you're going to get some people at the Fed saying, do we have stag and inflation? And J-Powell famously said last year, I don't see the stag or the inflation. I mean, we definitely don't have stag because we have growth. But if we have deflation, then there might be an issue, even if the labor market's low or labor market's starting to weaken. So I think we'll get the rate cut. And I don't think the new Fed governor is going to make any dent in our ability to get the rate cut. But CPI next week definitely will be important to make sure we keep the odds high to get the rate cut. Because if we don't, obviously that would not be the worst thing in the world. Take a look at this from a Bitcoin perspective. Institutions have bought 540,000 Bitcoin year to date in 2025. The miners, which have not been good stocks outside of their pivot into the AI data center space, have only mined 97,000 Bitcoin. So you have a pretty incredible supply-demand imbalance. Last year was 913,000 Bitcoin that institutions bought. 217,000 were mined. This year, it's on pace to be above that by the end of the year. So you do have some momentum right there in the context of institutional demand. And obviously, that is not the worst thing for Bitcoin. I love SoFi and Robinhood, but doesn't SoFi at this point have more upside? It's really up to how much you fundamentally think of the companies. I know one of the arguments when Robinhood was like 30 and SoFi was 7 was that, hey, which one has more upside? And both of them since then have 3x'd, So it's like, I mean, you could have picked SoFi there and done very well, but you also could have picked Robinhood and also done very well. So I think if you have a deep Robinhood bag and you want to add to that position, which I did a couple of days ago, then you stay with your company, you get more exposure, especially over the long term. If you want to pivot and sell all your Robinhood and go for SoFi, that's a personal decision in terms of, hey, I want to take my profits and move out of something else because I think one will outperform the other. And then if you already have a ton of SoFi, maybe just add to SoFi, right? Instead of having to add to Robinhood here because you think averaging up is not the worst thing in the world, given they will execute. I think the tailwinds for Robinhood are obvious. We're in a bull market. July has been incredible. We're going to get July metrics next week, and I think the metrics are going to be the best metrics we've ever seen. We already know that crypto and equities hit an all-time high, margins at an all-time high, net deposits are back to 6 billion. So if every other sort of user addition metric and cash sweep metric are good, July is going to be phenomenal. And then for SoFi, the bull case is obviously rate cuts. So, I mean, I think both should be fine by the end of the year. Don't know which one outperforms, but I think both can do well. Also, S&P 500 theoretically could happen to both of them. I mean, SoFi could get into the S&P 500 before Robinhood. It could happen. So that is now a tailwind that both could benefit from, and we're going to have to see which one the committee ultimately picks. In terms of portfolio updates, so I did a long post on Twitter last night. I will link it right here for anyone who wants to read it, but my portfolio now 104% year to date. We'll do more year to date numbers at the end of the stream on the market close today. So we'll the third week of trading for, and I talked about it. And the main contributors are Palantir, Hood, Nvidia, Rocket Lab. The biggest losers are Grab and Google. And what's flat is Tesla and HIMS. And so anyone can read through your Google Docs or something, because I think portfolio construction as well. And what do I want to do for the rest? I want to trim. What companies do I want to get rid of? What companies do I kind of just not care about? What companies that are lagging that maybe are good or bad? And that's kind of how I think about it. Is it better? Is the audio better? Okay, give me a second. Why is there such a lag, bro? Holy crap. Holy crap. Okay, how about now? Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? Yes, 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 no. Are we okay? Are we okay? All right, I think we're good. I think we're good. Dude, what is going on with the internet? Why is the internet being stupid today? That's so weird. That's so weird. No, I paid the internet bill, but the internet's being dumb, dude. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're back. See, this is I let me just say, I paid for the highest level of internet I could pay for in the new apartment because I cannot deal with this shit, bro. It's just a random Friday. The internet starts being stupid. It's like, why? There's no one even home. No one's even using the, like, what? There should be no bandwidth issues on the internet. Like, it's being so dumb. Anyway, what I was saying is anyone who read this post last night, I would encourage you to make your own version of this post, even if you don't create content, because it really helped me think about portfolio construction, what I want to do with some parts of the portfolio. I wrote a lot of stuff here, how I think about the long-term potential of the portfolio, the short-term headwinds, tailwinds, anything that I can expect. Why did I buy Tesla? Why did I buy Rocket Lab? Yada, yada. So I think portfolio construction posts every quarter is definitely good to do just as an individual investor, even if you don't post it to the public, because it's worth helping you get your own mindset around the portfolio. And so there it is right there in the chat. Dude, the internet, bro. All right, well, let's see. Hopefully the internet doesn't spaz out for the rest of the stream, but at least it's better. The quality might not be amazing. Yeah, it's not exactly 1080p, but at least it's okay. All right, so we got 2 minutes until this market opens. We'll see what we get. Again, we got a lot of names. I think today could be a bullish Friday. Let's do that poll in the chat real quick. If you guys think we could get a bullish Friday or not. I feel like we have the potential to get a green day, but curious to see what you think. Green day or not. I know that, it's not September and you can always wake me up when September ends, but still, green day or not, what do we think? Green day or not, will we be green? Is the sticker still on the TV? Dude, I'm going to leave the sticker on my new TV in the apartment. I'm going to leave it on just for all you guys. Literally, I have to take a picture of the sticker on the TV for everybody. Palantir 184.75, folks. It already hit 185 in the pre-markets. It already hit 185 in the pre-markets. We'll see when it opens and how that one ends up playing out. We got about a minute left. S&P is not, from what I read about S&P decision about Paramount, they're going to keep Paramount inside of the committee, so we're not going to get S&P inclusion news today. So hopefully in September for Robinhood, there's a shot, but yeah, we're likely not going to get news on that today. All right, folks, here we go. It is Friday, August 8th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you all for being here across the world. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up, and it shouldn't be that hard to wake up. Palantir hits 185. My goodness. My goodness. I will ring the bell in a little bit. Let me get through some of the other stuff going on, but Palantir hits 185. Congratulations, everybody. And she looks like she wants 186. She looks like she wants 186. My goodness. Grab right here, 496. Rocket Lab's up 10%. Shout out to Rocket Lab. It's going back or trying to go back for 50. Soundtown up 24%. AppLovin's up 3% now. AppLovin at 450. Haven't seen that in a couple months. AMD 174. Apple at 220. Bitmine's up 4%. Tempest AI is up 9%. Robinhood trying to get back to 112. There you go. Right back at 112. That's up 1%. Palantir 185.30. Nvidia 181. It hit 183 yesterday. Was not able to break above 183, but we did get to 183.50 yesterday. S&P 634. Tesla 324. Wow. Market doesn't care that we're losing Dojo. Market doesn't care that we're losing Dojo. All right, there you go. Tesla, that's green. Epsilera, 16%. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Crocs, that was down 30% yesterday. That's up 2%. United Healthcare, that's up a little bit right here. Sezzle, that's down 26%. That's a fintech. They kind of got hit. Not on the best earnings. SoFi, 22.38. Apple, 220. CoreWeave, 129. Trade Desk, 37% down. Ugly. Very ugly. But that's down. Oh, my goodness. 186 on Palantir. 186. I will check 187 resistance, but my goodness, it's up 2% on the day. $440 billion market cap. Absolutely incredible. 187 resistance on Palantir is 25,000 shares. That's not a lot of resistance. That's not a lot of resistance. Nebius right here. Wow, 70. Congratulations to those in Nebius. Up 7.5%. Congratulations if you're in Nebius. Lemonade as well, up 4%. That's not bad. SoFi right there, 22.28. Fortinet, that's at 76. PayPal, 68.35. Elf, that's up 4.3%. Peloton, they had earnings. That's up 9%. Celsius crushed earnings. That's up 7.3%. Google, are we moving on the Googs? Google, maybe today's the day for 200. Maybe today's the day. 198.61 is what you got on Google. Tesla really getting a pump. 326. I mean,
I guess the Dojo news is good for investors because now investors are like, okay, Elon's just going to focus on Robotaxi and Optimus without necessarily trying to scale some internal infrastructure compute project at the level that he was trying to do it before, at least. And even though there may be some level of AI 6, AI 5 inference training in the future, for now, Tesla is more focused on some of the applications of AI, and that's why Tesla could be green. 325 right there on Tesla. That's up 1%. SoFi right there, 22.32. Lemonade, 49.93. Nebius still going, trying to go for 71. Grab goes red by about a couple cents, 4.93 on Grab. SharpLink, that's up 1.4. BitMine, that's up 5.5. And Palantir back to 186. My goodness. Rocket Lab, that one, are we having official 10%? We have 9.79. It's pretty damn close. We hit 49.92. They didn't let it get to 50, got rejected right there. I will check 50 resistance in a second, but Rocket Lab having a great day. Not doing too bad. Where is Duolingo? Duolingo is up 5%. Duolingo is up 5%. All right, so that's up 5% after being up 20% yesterday. CoreWeave as well, that's up 6%. Rocket Lab at 50. Resistance on Rocket Lab at 50 is 74,000 shares. 74,000 shares for Rocket Lab at 50. Zeta, that's down 1%. They had a great week. Can't be too upset about that. Palantir, again, looks like she's trying to go for 187. AppLovin up 5%. They deserve it. That's a great earnings. SBET, that's up 2%. Texas Roadhouse, I think they beat on the top and the bottom, but they're down 4%. We'll go deeper into their earnings and see what's going on. But this stock has also had a good year, so not too bad to give back a little bit of the gains if the earnings weren't amazing. Broadcom right here at 303. Again, $1.43 trillion company. Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, they're flat on the day. DoorDash, that's down 2%. Meta, down 0.5%. SMCI, down a little bit. Riot's down about 1%. D-Wave's down a little bit. Where is SoundHound? That one still up 24%. Still up 24%. Big Bear AI as well. That's up 6.5. Big Bear trying to get back to $7. It was at $7 a couple weeks ago, or $7.50. I think it hit above $8 at one point as well. So trying to get back to those levels. That's at 5.6% right here. Palantir, 186.30. 186.30. Now, Trade Desk, I don't know what the heck happened for them to dump it almost 40%. Guys, they got into the S&P 500 2 weeks ago. Like, the S&P 500 committee is happy that one of the main stocks they picked this year is now down 40%. Like, I don't think they're going to get booted out anytime soon either. You know, once you're in for a while. So there's no concerns about that. But that's ugly, dude. I can't explain why it's down 40%. That's aggressive. Is it an opportunity? A lot of people are asking. I mean, like, look, I haven't done enough DD, but down 40%. Really? This happened? It went from 120 to 40 back in February. Then it went from 40 to 90. Now it's back at 50. I mean, like, maybe requires some due diligence if it stays at these levels to see if it really is an opportunity or not. Eli Lilly right here is up 1.6. Where is Rocket Lab 47? Oh my goodness. I think Palantir's. Oh, she hit 187. 187. Resistance is gone for Palantir on 187. 187.01. Palantir has hit. My goodness. No more resistance. It was only 25,000 shares. I mean, realistically, from 182 to 187, you guys were there yesterday, every dollar had like 12,000 shares of resistance. This one had 25,000 at 187. So there have not been these massive walls, and that means people don't have their sell orders propped up for 187, 184, 185 because they don't want to sell. They don't want to sell. 188 resistance on Palantir is 33,000 shares. That's just not a lot. That's not a lot. Rocket Lab right here up 6%. AppLovin 451. You're seeing a couple of red candles across the board. Robinhood though 112.30. Robinhood 113 is what we got to take out. We got to take out 113. I have not rung the bell yet. I will ring it for Palantir, but my goodness, do I have to ring it for 190 as well? If we like, this is unbelievable. The journey of a lifetime. I don't think any of us expected it to change our lives in this ways, but it is doing it. And now the street is catching on. And again, for those that are just joining, I shared an institutional investor who manages $1 billion who bought Palantir at 135 based on a website that I track. And although it's a small amount of shares, 2,000 shares, it shows that some of these institutional guys at 130, 140, they said, screw it. They might have just bought a couple thousand shares here and there. That adds up across the entire world. And that could be a lot of the institutional investors coming into the story finally after a couple years. Palantir right there, back to 187.15. Google 198. Tesla 327. Tesla trying to go to 330. Celsius right here again is green, up about 6% on the day. Tempest as well. This is good for Nancy and Kathy.
They bought this back in January, so they've been very well on this one. 63 for Tempest AI. And then you got Palantir, 187.18. That is a new all-time high. 187.40. Bro. And then Hoodie's trying to go for 113 as well. Hoodie, where are you at? We are close, Hoodie. 112.82. Oh, we got to 112.94. Give me 113. Give me an all-time high. The actual all-time high is 113.44, but still, give me 113. Let's see. 15 cents away. Palantir, 186.78. Celsius, 52. Tesla, 327. Bitmine, that's up 6%. A lot of people are happy on that one. People bought that dip at 30. Net asset value, I think, is now 27. So it's trading at like a 1.5x NAV or MNAV. ASML, 713. TSSI, that one took a little bit of a hit a couple days ago. Affirm down about 2%. SMCI down 0.13. Hoodie, 10 cents away. Let's see. Let's see if we can get there. 113. There we go, folks. There we go. 113. This stock deserves 120 after those earnings and the catalyst that we have coming up. 113. You got 44 cents now. 44 cents if we can break through. And if we can get 44 cents, then we're hitting all-time highs on Robinhood. Let's freaking go. Rocket Lab right here up 7%. Tesla 327. Google 197. Lemonade 50. Lemonade back at 50. CoreWeave 128. And Nebius right here 69.89. The seal claps are back. Dude, why do I clap like a seal? Like I feel like I'm clapping. I've been clapping like a seal for my whole life. And I watched like a seal video on YouTube when I was like 12 years old, and that's my subconscious clap now or something. We analyzed my laugh yesterday, and you guys are right. I laughed like a hyena who's gasping for air. It's like, it's actually scary how right you guys were on my laugh. Hood 113.30. We touched it. Yeah, we did touch it. All right, so we were 20 cents away. Let me check resistance at 114. Dude, not bad. Not bad at all. Again, Palantir right here back to 187. 188 has 30,000 shares. That's not a lot. 114 on Hood has 12,000 shares. 12,000 shares, which is not too crazy. Duolingo right here up 5%. Tessie, she wants 329. She wants 329. And again, I guess the Dojo stuff is, I don't think Elon tweeted anything else. It's the Dojo stuff, I guess, that the street's excited about. S&P, I think we're green on the S&P as well. That's helping the whole market. Now, look, this is very similar to the past couple of days where we pump in the first 20 minutes and then we get our little 10 a.m. weakness. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we see that again. We do get a little bit of recovery in the middle of the day, but we got to see if the momentum is strong enough to hold on. SoFi right there, 22.17. Apple goes red. Apple goes red. SoundHound as well. That one's crushing it. Up 21%. Google trying to hold 198. Palantir 187. Hoodie now 112. 112.30. I did see Elon's response to my Dojo tweet, but I don't know if that necessarily means that, like, you get super excited about Tesla. I mean, the way I interpreted Elon's response is, hey, Dojo is still alive. It's just not going to be something in the short term we're focused on because inference training is going to be the main goal, but that's kind of down the line. I interpret it more so as investors are like, okay, cool. Like, they're really focused on scaling the applications of AI, not just like building the infrastructure of the compute necessary to get to the models. And that's why investors are excited. But maybe they could be excited about the inference stuff he was talking about going into the future, even if it's not literally happening at the moment. And it seems like he's not denying the reliance on Nvidia and AMD because in the moment, you need those chips to be able to scale Optimus and Robotaxi. But regardless, the street seems to like what he had to say. Tesla, 10 cents away from 329. Let's see. Let's see if we can get there. Let's see if there's a shot. Tesla really moving right here. Robinhood trying to get back to 113 and then Palantir pushing through 187.30. Why is ABCL selling off? So I didn't look deeper into their earnings. Wow, they lost everything from the pre-market. Okay. So Arnie did comment, and I think he said something very similar to what I said yesterday, which let me pull up. And then we'll talk about it. Again, I didn't go super deep into the earnings, but essentially the gist of what he said is, hey, like, I'm focused on this for the long term, and this was a good earnings, but, you know, we're going to have to see the long-term thesis play out for this one to really mature. Hoodie right there, 112.85, and then Tesla. There you go, 329. Tesla, very close to 330. very close to 330, and Hoodie trying to go back to 113. And this is good. I mean, Hoodie got up to 113.30, got rejected, consolidating, and now there you go, right back to 113. We should be able to break out. Palantir getting hit at 187.43. That was another all-time high, 186.90. And now Tesla trying to go for 330. AMD, is that getting some love? I think that's up 2%. AMD is up 2.09. 2.09 on AMD. Yeah, so Arnie essentially, I mean, there's some other quotes that he said, but again, for everyone in ABCL, his thesis is about being patient. So he said right there, impatience is detrimental for a company like ABCL. There really is 100 bagger to this, or it's zero. And Arnie understands that very well. And he's trying to tell people, hey, you're hyping it up way too much. The fact that you care about revenue and earnings is not that relevant because there's a long-term thesis. You just have to stick to the long-term plot. So, whether it goes up or down, I mean, that's how Arnie's thinking about it. And Arnie is kind of my go-to source on anything ABCL. We're going to try to do the deep dive again. Arnie's been on vacation with Iliano in Florence for the past 2 weeks. So this guy has been still traveling the world. Hopefully he gets free. He'll actually, you know what? Arnie's going to stay in my apartment in September. So we will do the ABCL live stream in person. I just thought of that. He'll be here in September. Hoodie trying to get back to 113. So we'll do a live stream together, and maybe it's not a full deep dive. I'll just ask him some questions and he'll be able to give his thoughts in person. And that'll be how we talk about ABCL. Big Bear, that's up 5.6. Nebius is up 6. AppLovin's up 7. Grab down 0.5%. Bitmine, that's up 9. Wow, Bitmine. Ethereum, $50 away from 4,000. Let's see. Let's see if she can do it. Let's see if she can do it. No, I'm not lying. Arnie will be here in September. He's staying with me for a week. So we got a couple events to go to in New York together. So he'll be with me. And yeah, I haven't seen him since April 2024. The last time I saw him, dude, we barely slept. We talked for like 10 hours straight. Like when I'm with him, we just like start talking. We were developing our hood. Hood was $20. The day we stayed up like 7 hours, the morning after, which was we stayed up during the morning. So I think we got like an hour of sleep. Hood acquired Bitstamp. And so we were talking so much about Hood's verticals and their growth and all this stuff. And I woke up and I was like, Arnie, they just acquired Bitstamp. They paid $200. He was like, what? And so everything we talked about last night about crypto and the thesis, like we woke up to an acquisition. So I think it'll be good to do a live stream when he's in person and we can talk about a lot of companies, including ABCL. SoFi right here, 22.19. BMNR, again, that one is green. And then AMD up 2.05. Zeta goes green. That was red. Nebius still up 7, just below 70. Nvidia 182. Nvidia all-time highs that hit yesterday, 183.88. Breaking above that would be very nice to see. And yeah, Ethereum, I mean, that breaking 4,000 would be really bullish today for Robinhood, Coinbase, BMNR, all those companies. It would be very nice to see. Matt will also be in my apartment, by the way. Matt's also going to be there. He's going to be at the same event. So Matt should be there with us as well. And we'll hopefully get to stream with Mr. Matt Money in person. Robinhood 113.30. All right, here we go. Let's see. 10 cents, baby. There we go. 113.8. Oh, 114. I think she's going for it. Is she going for it? 5 cents away. Broke all-time highs. 113.95. Give it to us. Give us 114. You're right there. You are right there. Let's see. Busted through 113. Finally, it was time. After those earnings, it was freaking time, baby. There you go. Google, are we at 200? Are we finally at 200? Okay, so Google Class A is at 199. Class C is at 200, which means Class A should follow. We should get a follow soon. There you go. Google, dude, 200 for the first time since when? Since freaking last time they were at 200 was, let's see, January 31st, bro. 8 months in the making. 8 months in the making. Palantir right here, 186.90. Tesla 329.25. 8 months in the making for Goog to get back to 200. We are back. Yeah, basically February. Right before those Q4 2024 earnings. I mean, there you go. We've been waiting for it, and now it is here. Not too bad. Google, again, has been kind of my biggest losers this whole year, but if we get to 210, I'll break even on my options. So, and for those that bought the dip on Google heavily, I mean, look, you had a shot to buy it basically 140 to 160 for the past 8 months. And I know a lot of people should be benefiting from that, from buying the dip. ETH right here is $20 away from 4,000. Is $20 away from 4,000. Hoodie is trying to break 114. They got us to 113.98. 114 resistance is only 20,000 shares. Not crazy. Palantir, oh my goodness, I think she's trying to go for 188. Palantir again is also like 30,000 shares at 188. Celsius is up 3, and then AMD as well is up 2.3. Soundhound, wow, 27%. 27% on the day. Congrats to everyone in Soundhound. Congratulations. Yeah, I think there's a short squeeze happening on Sound. And it honestly, I mean, realistically, I don't think we've seen anything yet. It's short at 30%. If this thing holds, if this thing at least holds the 27% gains over the next week, you're going to have some shorts that have to decide, do they cover or do they double down? And if they cover, I mean, we should see some more momentum. We got to keep this move on Soundhound, and I think it will. I mean, the earnings were good. Like really good. I mean, when you raise adjusted EBITDA guidance for a small company, and it shows to Wall Street, hey, they're ready to grow. Whenever a company that's really small, under 10 billion market cap, raises guidance, it means, all right, Wall Street, we know what game you want to play. We know you have expectations. We know we need to beat your expectations. Guess what? We're raising our guidance against your expectations. So you're going to have to buy the stock. And usually Wall Street capitulates because there's not a lot of good stocks that actually can raise guidance to invest in. Soundhound right there, 1375. That's up 30%. Google again, 200.27. Ethereum, $13 away, $12 away from seeing 4,000 for the first time since December 2024. Yeah, literally December 15th was the last time you had 4,000 on Ethereum. BM&R 46. Okay, my only concern with BM&R, I'm happy it's up, is I hope they don't dump shares. SBET did that yesterday. Literally yesterday, they dumped 200 million worth of shares. That's why that stock's up, but it probably should be up a lot more based on Ethereum running. BM&R probably hasn't done the dump yet. So hopefully Tom Lee gets this thing to like 50, 60 before he dumps, and then maybe it dumps back to like, I don't know, if he dumps at 60, it goes back to 50 instead of dumping at 46, and it goes back to 40. But eventually they will dilute. The question is just when. And hopefully it's not soon. BM&R right there up almost 12.5% of the day. Robinhood 113.24, and then Palantir 187.25. It's a good thing that they dump. I agree, because that lets them buy more Ethereum. It just sucks if you buy it at 46 and then they dump and it goes to 40, right? Like there's no if and or buts about that. Like it sucks. So ultimately they're going to have to do it to buy more Ethereum. You just won't hope that. And also if they do it at a higher price, it's more friendly for shareholders. So the question is just when they end up doing it. Dude, ETH is like right there. It's right there. It is time. Put in the chat if you're loaded up on ETH. Put in the chat if you're like legit loaded up on ETH or ETH proxies. Put in the chat like how many people are really heavy in ETH. By the way, 78% of you said Green Day would happen today. Rocket Lab right here lost all of the 10% gains, unfortunately. So Rocket Lab was not able to hold on to that 10% pump. Palantir still at 187, and then Robinhood 113.50. Wow, we got a lot of ETH heads in the chat. Oh my, that's a lot of ETH. That's a lot of Ethereum and some BM&Rs. Dude. Okay, I mean, look, I don't hate it. I think the thesis is very strong. Tokenization and stablecoins. That's it. That's your thesis. It's very simple. Like Tom Lee's argument is pretty logical. And the question is, do you want to be leveraged against it? So now the question is just, how much does the market ultimately chase some of this momentum on Ethereum? 39.87. 39.87 is what we got on Ethereum. Google 201. Are we trying to get there? Goog 200.67. Yeah, well, it's trying to get there. And then the other one with the L. There you go. All right. Both Google's officially 200. All right. Let me check the stock draft because I should be able to check it because it's 950. And now Google will allow the update of the quotes. I had no idea there was a 20-minute delay, bro. I had no idea. But apparently there is. All right. Let's see what we got today on the stock draft. Matt Money should still be in the lead. All right, here you go. So Matt's up 18%. Tanner's up 7. TTD really got him today. I'm up 16. So we are 2% away from Matt. Steve's down 0.10 and Chris is down 2.5. So it's Matt, Amit, Tanner. What's helping Matt is Rocket Lab, obviously. That's up 78%. His biggest loser is Berkshire. Berkshire down 5%. That's the worst that he has. And then ABCL, he's still up 32% on Dutch Bros. He recovered. I mean, he's down 3%, but he was down a lot more. For me, the biggest loser is Duolingo down 13. Visa is down 5. Palantir is up 32. Robinhood's up 46. Tesla's now breaking even. AMD's up 38. JPM's up 9. Nebius is up 38. Grab's up 5. And then Apple's up 12. And then for Tanner, TTD just got him today, down about 20%. So it's Matt, Amit, Tanner, Steve, and Chris right now in the rankings. Google right there, 200. Google 200, Palantir 186. There you go, Hoodie 114. Yes, we got it. We got it, folks. 114. Been waiting for this one. We've been waiting for this one. And there you go. I know I look like a potato right now because it's blurry, but still. 114. Why do I look like a potato, but Weeble looks fine? Is Ethereum 4K? Hold on. Did we get 4K? Oh, we touched 4K too. There you go. And Tesla got 330. Dude, what a Friday morning. Tesla 330, Ethereum 4,000, Palantir 187, and Robinhood 114. I mean, it's a fun Friday, dude. You don't need coffee on a Friday like this. This will wake you up. This will wake you up. Congrats to everybody. I'm going to ring the bell, not the big bell. I'll wait for a little bit to ring the big bell, and we'll see Palantir's momentum. But we got to ring the bell for everybody today. Congratulations, everyone. It's a hell of a Friday. Dude, this is crazy. All of us are looking at these 4-letter symbols with a number attached to it. Look at Ethereum. So beautiful. 4,000. Oh, I got to get a screenshot. So beautiful. We're looking at these numbers that have freaking these letters associated with them, and them going up or down could literally change our entire day. I mean, it's incredible, dude. It's literally incredible. But that's what it means to be an investor. That's what it means to be an investor. Tesla 332. I'm at my last 100 shares were at 335. I bought 10 at like 302, but like it's getting back to 335 where I bought it at right before earnings, up 3% on the day. Patience pays. That's correct. Patience does pay. Palantir right here, 187.30, and Hoodie just below 114. It cracked 114, got to 114.10. So I do think it'll have a shot to get back there. Google as well too. I mean, the fact that Google's participating after being stuck for so long, very nice to see. And then obviously Apple right here. Apple was at 219. It was red. Apple's going for 222, folks. Apple's going for 220 freaking 2. I mean, the fact that we are looking at candlesticks go up and down on a number attached to a name. I mean, it's like given it's a bull market, I mean, they've done very well. And again, you know, you got a lot of people probably that are thinking frothy, top, yada, yada. Did you see those earnings? If you rewind 20 minutes, we looked at the aggregate earnings. 86% of companies beat by an average of 7%. We should always be looking for the bear case, but we cannot deny the earnings momentum is real. It's very real. Hood back to 114, and it's happening in front of us. Bitmine right here up 15% on the day. Ethereum just below 4,000, but it did get to that 4,000 level. Let me check Hood resistance at 115. My Palantir is officially 10x. Congrats, Justin. I saw a bunch of people. I got a bunch of messages yesterday of people and, you know, just showing their Palantir position. And I was talking actually to a friend yesterday who's up like 2 million on Palantir. And the dude used to work at Cheesecake Factory as a waiter in 2022. And he's now up $2 million on his Palantir. I mean, like we talk about life-changing. And it's because he held his shares from $10. He put enough money together to buy shares at $10 and just held it. And there you go. Let me check Hoodie resistance at 115. But just incredible journey for so many people. 115 resistance on Hoodie is 40,000 shares. 40,000 shares is what we've got. Grab is dropping. Yeah, I mean, I wish this one was participating as well. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this one. My thesis is set. I analyze earnings. I was talking to another friend last night about Grab, and he told me that as well. He's just like, he can't understand the price action. He's buying a lot more. I mean, I bought 1,000 shares yesterday. I'm buying all these dips, but I really do think it's setting up for an asymmetric upside. But right now, I just don't know. And unfortunately, you kind of got to let it play out to see how it happens. It's been dead money for me all year. I mean, the money if I've invested in Grab, if I just put it in Hood or Palantir or Nvidia, I would have had an even better year than what I'm having right now, but it's been stuck in Grab. So I'm assuming this one will play out. I have zero loss of conviction on the thesis. It's just the stock price is not cooperating right now. And it is what it is. It happens when you get into a new name. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself, is the conviction there to hold on to the long term? So we're going to see if we can get any momentum on that towards the end of the year. Apple right here. Wow, 222. Apple 222. So that one is starting to really participate. Tesla as well, 333. Google's trying to go for 201. Robinhood just below 114. Tesla 333. And then Palantir just below 187. I mean, just incredible. SoundHound as well. Great day for SoundHound. That one is up a lot. 25%. Grab is delayed gratification. Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of times this stuff is being very patient. I mean, this is why investing is hard. This is why investing is really, really hard. When you find a new name, and everyone will go through this at some point. SoundHound people had to go through this for a while before it really exploded. Like, you just have to kind of wait, let them execute, and eventually you're going to see something happen because like there's not enough good opportunities in the market. And when you look at Grab's free cash flow growth, adjusted EBITDA, like all that's going up and to the right, which means the stock price will follow. It's just a question of when. And you kind of just got to wait it out sometimes. Ethereum right there, back to 4,000. Back to 4,000. Palantir was delayed gratification. Yeah, that is also true. But here's the thing. Here's the lesson right here. And I was talking about this last night with a lot of people underneath that portfolio update post that I did. You don't need a lot of winners. You just need some really good ones. Robinhood now 114.20, really breaking out. I mean, like, obviously the real big winners that I'm known for over the past couple of years are Palantir and Robinhood. But like, you don't need a lot of them. Like, you need one to really change your life, and you need two to really change your life. And then if you can get the trifecta, it's like, great. But and so many people, for other people, it's different names. For other people, you loaded up AMD at 70, boom, that's your portfolio. That's your year. That's your year. For some people that loaded up SoundHound at 5, now it's at 13, that's your year. You don't need a lot of winners, but you don't need every horse. You just need to get on the right one. And when you get the right one, you don't let it go, especially if they keep executing. Robinhood now 114.20, and it seems like they are continuing to execute. It feels like Palantir's a once in a lifetime story. That's not just a winner. Yeah, agreed. And if it's once in a lifetime, when I hear people saying they're selling, again, I think people should take profits if they want to take profits. It's obviously expensive stock. If you got to take some profits to take your cost bases out, do what you got to do. But I also think it's once in a lifetime. It's very hard to find these names that are once in a lifetime, and they get a premium. Now, Palantir is getting a pretty aggressive premium. I get it. I'm not going to be out here saying that they don't, they're a cheap stock by any sense. But at some point, the market is deciding to give them a premium, and that's why we're seeing this momentum. Palantir now market cap 440 billion, 186.30, up 2.27% of the day. By the way, Steve's article will be out today. He'll be on the market close, and he is not recommending a buy on Palantir. He's putting a hold because he just couldn't get himself to recommend a buy at these levels. But I think you guys are going to like the article. He let's just say he went pretty in depth into the numbers, and he sees a lot of runway for Palantir. So although it's hard to buy it here, it's also really hard to sell it here. Really hard to sell when you've got a generational company. Robinhood, I think she's trying to go for it. 115. What's the resistance? 115, 42,000 shares. 42,000 shares. Nvidia was my life changer in December 2022. Yeah. I mean, I told you guys about that guy, Louis, who has 90,000 shares at like a $2 average. He messaged me the other day. He said, I'm still holding when it got to like 184 or 180, 185 in the overnight markets. Didn't touch that in the actual market outside of overnight markets, Nvidia, but it's going to get there. It's at 181. It got to 183.88 yesterday, but no, he's holding. He's not selling a single share. He got it at $2, not selling a single share. Because like, why? If Nvidia falls 10, 20%, it's a BTFD. Buy the effing dip. I mean, we're seeing what's happening with AI. We're seeing what's happening with data center build outs. Like if Nvidia gives you an opportunity at 150 again, people are going to buy that. People are going to buy that. S&P is up almost 1% of the day, 636. United Health's up 1.57%, so that one's getting some love. Expedia, they crushed earnings. That's up 5%. That's great for travel. A lot of the travel companies and the consumer names are getting some momentum. And you're seeing that get green. When should I roll my Palantir covered calls? We talked about it yesterday. When your break even is achieved. So if your break even is 189, because you had a 186 call with a $3 a premium, 189 is your break even, or you have a 190, you had a 185 call with $2 a premium, 188 is your break even. That's when you roll. So don't get greedy about it. Don't get arrogant. Don't get stingy. When it's above your break even, don't think, oh, it'll come back down. Just roll. Get it out of there. Roll it a couple weeks. That's the easiest time when you have a chance to roll. You can keep it at the same price if you think it's going to come down over the next couple weeks, or you can increase the strike by like $5-10 and roll it out a month. And it will be very easy to roll once you're at your break even. If you let it go underwater by $5-10, it's going to get harder. So that's when it's going to be the best time to give a roll. Robinhood 114.75 at the same time. Palantir. Oh wow, 115. There you go, 115. Boom, 115, and she's off to the races. 115.40. 115.40. Palantir 187.23. Nvidia 180, 186. Wow, Palantir and Hood 187.20 and 115.40. Just running. 116 resistance is 7,000 shares. It's nothing. She wants 120. She wants 120. I mean, I don't know if it gets to 116, but there's nothing holding it back. $102 billion market cap for Robinhood. My goodness, dude. I mean, look, this was expected after earnings, and they gave us the dip at 93. They gave us the dip at 93, but this was expected, and now we're here. I mean, look, the closest thing to Palantir in terms of price action and pure execution that I've seen is Robinhood. And the fact that Robinhood went from 7 to now 115, if it gets anywhere near that 120, 130 range, and then that is the closest I've seen to a company being able to be in the low single digits and within literally the same time frame, 2.5 years, do what it has done. Robinhood right here, 115.23. BMNR up 13%, and Ethereum nicely holding 4,000. I mean, it's barely above 4,000, but it's there. It's up above 4,000. Google 201. Google 201. There you go. Google finally breaking out, getting some love, and above if we can normalize above 200, obviously I think that would be very good for the overall stock itself. Hoodness gracious, correct. Hoodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, so far, look, 10 a.m. has been okay. There's been a lot. I kind of had a feeling, dude. I woke up in the pre-markets. Oh my goodness, Hood's trying to go for 116. I woke up in the pre-markets and I was like, it feels like it's gonna be a green day. 116. She wants 120. She wants it. She needs it. And I think the market's gonna give it to her. 116. But you know what's better than 116? 117 is 4,000 shares of resistance. Dude, there's no stopping it. I mean, like, it doesn't have to get there, but there's not a big sell set of orders that are like really going to be stopping it from getting there if the volume comes in. Palantir as well, 187.30. Again, 188 has about 30,000 shares of resistance to try to get there. Robinhood, 116. 116. She wants it. She wants it, dude. Goodness gracious. This is pretty incredible. This is pretty incredible. Jem, thanks for the super chat. Warren Buffett, you only have to do a very few things right in your life. So as long as you don't do too many things wrong, 100%. And that I think that applies to the stock market as well. Victor Lee, thank you for the $100 super chat. Deeply, deeply appreciated. Thank you for the $100 super chat. Richard Boz, thank you for the $4.49 try. I've never got try before. Try currency is Turkish liras. Turkish liras. Thank you for the 449 Turkish liras and being part of the show. Thank you so much for being here. Manohar, thank you for the $50 super chat. Admit I got grabbed after reading your post, and I'm happy as it's long-term today. BMNR is making me very happy. Manohar, I think you gave a super chat a while ago about BMNR, so congrats. 47.25. This one is doing very well, 15% on the day, and obviously moving from Ethereum as well. And then Nesra, thank you for the $50 super chat. Admit when Arnie comes, your job is to educate him on the grab thesis. We know that happens whenever you two align. Thanks for all you do. Award-winning entertainment all day, every day. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. I will talk to Arnie in person about grab. He actually went to Southeast Asia for a little bit and used the product, and he had a good experience with it. He just is not fully sold on the thesis. So when he comes through, I'll talk to him about it as well. But thank you for the super chats, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Obviously, it's a community effort. And on days like this, you know, it's very, very special to be invested in these companies. Nvidia right here, 182, and then Palantir, 187, 187.15. What, did I say it wrong? What did I say? Oh, I said Tariffs? Oh. I meant Turkish, obviously. Did I say Tariffs? Did I actually say Tariffs? Dude, someone texted me. There's a medical name for the symptom I have. It's when you see letters the wrong. It's not dyslexia. It's something even different. It's called. Let me see if I can pull up the name of it. I think I legit have this. They were like, "Hey, I think you have this." I was like, "Yeah, I think I do." Yeah, spoonerism. I have spoonerism. Look at this shit. Spoonerism, a verbal error in which a speaker accidentally transposes the initial sounds or letters of two or more words, often to a humorous effect. Damn, they really put humorous effect inside of the definition. As in a sentence, you have hissed the mystery lectures accidentally spoken instead of the intended sentence, you have missed the history lectures. Yes, I've done that so many times. You have hissed the lectures versus you have missed the lectures. I think I have spoonerism, bro. I think that's the diagnosis. I really do. It seems like that's what we got. Hoodie, 116, Google 200, Bitmine up 13%, Apple 220. Wow, Apple's trying to go for 223. 223. Oh, I'm loving Apple at 223. I'm loving it. I picked it at 198 in the stock draft. It felt like everyone was being too bearish. I'm not the most bullish on Apple, but it's freaking Apple, dude. It's Apple. It's not going anywhere. I think the stock draft updated. It's been 20 minutes. I think we have the quotes again. Yeah, it's kind of the same. Matt's up 17. I'm up 16. Tanner's up 7. Steve's down 0.02. And Chris is down 2.5. So Matt, Amit, Tanner, Steve, and Chris. Ethereum now just below 4,000. Again, VIX is back to below 16. So that's helping out with the volatility coming down. Lulu says you have Metallica. Yes, I have Metallica. That's exactly what I have. I have Metallica. Dude, and again, like speaking of Metallica, dude, they tried to give someone a bit. I was talking to my dad yesterday, right? Because my dad was like, "So what is AI? Like what is this whole like? Why are we?" I'm like, and I was trying to explain it to him, and then my dad was like, "Do you know Meta offered someone 1.5 billion?" I was like, "Yeah, I know," and I was like, "That's kind of crazy, right?" And he was like, "Why didn't the guy take it?" And I was like, "The deeper question, Dad, is why did they offer it to one guy? If Zucks is ready to give one guy $1.5 billion, how big does he think this opportunity is going to be for everybody?" Which means we just need to position ourselves as investors to take advantage of that alpha. And my dad couldn't believe it. He was like, "Dude, he rejected $1 billion, $1.5 billion." I was like, "Yeah, but also," so he's like, "What?" He was just trying to understand. Wait, so Zucks gave him the point, and then so he was like, "So what is AI? Like, how do you make the AI? How do you give the AI?" And I was explaining ChatGPT and all that stuff, but the opportunity is just massive. Absolutely massive. Apple right here, 222.90, Google 201, Palantir just below 187, and then Hoodie 115.85. Oil is dumping a little bit. Okay, oil, actually, no, it's up. I mean, oil was dumping this whole week. It's nicely below 70, but it's at 64 right now. It's up about 1% today, but it has been dumping pretty much all week. ABCL, is that one holding on? That one's down 4%. Yeah, again, guys, I don't want to say this over and over again. It's down like a broken record, but I think a lot of people got hyped on ABCL. It seems like a phenomenal company, but it needs time. It's in the biotech space. And the reason I'm harping on this is because I was in a biotech before. I blew up my account. It's not easy to get the biotechs right. This is more of a biotech platform versus like one drug or bust. So, and that's why people are interested in the thesis, but it's going to take time because like they've got to prove that, you know, the platform ends up working to successfully create drugs.
So if you buy it, my only point is you just got to have a long-term thesis on it. That's it. Grab as well. Grab is a long-term thesis. The only difference between Grab is like there's actual EPS, revenue, adjusted EBITDA. They have a business. Everyone can understand their take rate, their margins. Accelera, they've got to be successful with the drugs, right? So there's just a totally different way of analyzing it, even though they both are super long-term plays. SoFi, are we at 23 yet? SoFi 2250, SoFi 2250. There you go. Let me check 23 resistance on SoFi. But that one also doing great on the day for SoFi. Any thoughts on Axon? Axon's chart looks ridiculous over the past 10 years. I mean, if you're, put in the chat if you're in this stock. Look at this thing, bro. Look at this thing. It's up more than Nvidia all time, 154,000%. I mean, I wouldn't buy it here because I don't think I know enough about them to buy it. And it's also up a lot, but I have never really done a lot of deep digging. It was 56 cents in 2001. It's $864. I mean, obviously the earnings growth they put up last week or or on Monday or Tuesday had them up 17% after they've been able to grow. And for those that don't know what they sell body cameras. They sell body cameras. 23 has 69,000 shares. 69,000 shares. Zuck's also airballed on Reality Labs, though. That's fair, but Reality Labs was Zuck's against the world, trying to convince everybody we would live in the metaverse. SoFi 2255. AI to me is not Zuck's being a contrarian. It's him, doubling down on what everyone has essentially doubled down on. And when you have so many smart people like Jensen, Elon, Sam Altman, Zuck's, I mean, all Sundar, all these people agreeing AI is the future, it's hard to imagine it's not. And obviously we're seeing the earnings growth now. So it's just a question of if Zuck's has the right approach to capitalizing on the alpha that AI will provide. In long term, we're going to have to see. Tanner says he doesn't like Grab. So Tanner, I've talked about it with him. Tanner likes Nubank because he doesn't like Grab's. Remember, Tanner's a fintech guy. So Tanner doesn't like Grab's fintech growth. And he'd rather have Nubank. And that's fair. I get it. I think he's kind of missing the super app thesis and why the fintech portion of it is going to really pay dividends, especially at this market cap and this enterprise value that they're trading at. And once that turns EBITDA profitable, I think that's going to be very strong for their overall profitability. But as a fintech guy, I think he would rather invest in a full-on fintech where Grab is partly fintech, partly a lot of other things. And so that's why he doesn't like that much. But it is what it is. Everyone has their own perspective on it. I just think financial services will be very good for them over the coming years, especially because Southeast Asia has a lot of people that are not banked. And so there's just a massive TAM for them to be able to capture. Robinhood right here, just below 116. You got 115.89. Axon also has a software that allows DA to access the body cam footage. It's basically a discovery platform. Yeah, and about 5 years ago, body cam started to become much more of a requirement for police officers. And so the software platform associated with those body cameras seems like that is another part of Axon's ultimate growth. I am not buying Nebius. Again, I just don't know. They're in my ETF. I just don't know enough about these guys at these levels. I wouldn't say it's super expensive though. I mean, it's not the same risk reward it was at 30. We did a deep dive on the channel when it was at 30. But at these levels, I mean, I've got to really dive into the earnings to see. I wouldn't get mad at someone for buying it after those earnings though. Those earnings were incredible. The guidance raise was incredible. Is it priced in? You could argue it is. But if they keep beating going into the rest of the year, and if Nvidia keeps putting up some amazing quarters, all the derivative AI data center plays, they might continue to catch a bid. So I could see how this one gets momentum. Robinhood right back to 116. Did I check 117? I don't think I checked 117 resistance. No, it's 4,000 shares. Yeah, 4,000 shares at 117. What do you think about Applied Digital? I don't know enough about them. I know they got a big deal with CoreWeave 2 months ago, but don't know enough about them to get super into the thesis. But again, data center AI plays. I mean, if you're playing that thesis, I think there's a lot of other ways to play it, but APLD doesn't seem like the worst way to play it as well. Google right here, 201. Google now breaking above 200. Grab is a great company and will moon, but why buy now? It's been around 5 for a year. Wait for a breakout. Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you like the Grab thesis, but you just don't want to sit on dead money, wait for the breakout. So maybe you have to buy it at $5.50 and you have to pay an extra 50 cents. But at least you'll be buying it when it's in an uptrend versus having to buy it when, as of now, it looks like it's stuck, right? So I 1,000% agree with that. I mean, there is no need to get super deep into it right now. Now, if it goes to $6 tomorrow, would you be upset? Sure, but
the odds of that happening after those earnings and the stock's down, to me, is like, okay, Wall Street's just keeping it held down and they're going to need a catalyst. So you might need that catalyst. But I wouldn't be selling covered calls on Grab. Ironically, it's been one of the best stocks to sell covered calls on because it stays flat. So, maybe you buy some just to sell some calls on it, and then you can manage those calls if they get in the money. But I think, but the problem is we all thought the breakout was happening before earnings because this thing got to 590. We're like, all right, it's here. Give us a good earnings and we're moving up. And they gave us a great earnings. It just didn't cooperate. So it is what it is. I think it'll take time, but I think we will see this one get some momentum. Google right here, 201. Robbing it again, trying to go for 117, 116.30. Nvidia, 181.92. Palantir back to 187. Carvana is getting destroyed. Carvana down 4%. They had a good earnings as well. I mean, Jim Chanos is still short this name. Carvana right here down 4%. Yeah, the premiums are low. I mean, so if you buy it and you sell it just for the premium is not the best. So it's more so a question of just if you want to make a little bit of money if you have some shares that are sitting around and not doing much. Ironically, Grab's also a good day trading stock because for a day trading stock, you need it to trade within 10 to 20 cents. And if you know it well enough, there are people I know that only pick one or two stocks and they just day trade them and they make a lot of money because they know exactly the time, like they study them so deeply and they just need a range for the stock to be stuck in. And they're literally using it as a vehicle to buy here, sell here. They need like 5 to 7 cents of a move. They're playing with a lot of money and that results in a lot of profit. And ironically, Grab has actually been acting like a stock that could have that type of potential. But I do think eventually the earnings will allow it to break out. Google right here, 202 and Palantir, 186.99. Hoodie, 116.62. 116.62. She's trying for it. She is trying for it. Why is Amazon red? I don't know. Max 7 has had a little bit of a type of week outside of Apple and now Google today. Meta as well has been down for the week, but it was at 780 after those earnings. It's holding 765. Microsoft. Oh, did you guys see Elon and Microsoft getting into beef yesterday? Freaking Elon said OpenAI is going to kill Microsoft. And Satya Nadella, I'm not going to lie, bro. I love Elon. I'm a fan of Elon. But Satya Nadella had a really good response. Like a pretty good response. Did Elon delete the tweet? Did Elon delete it? Satya had one of those like, when they go low, you go high type of responses. And he was like, well, people have been trying to kill Microsoft for years, but blah, blah, blah. And then he just went into it. Let me see if someone has a screenshot. I think Elon deleted the tweet. Elon probably felt like a dick after tweeting that. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so Satya was like, hey, we're bringing GPT-5 to Copilot. Elon was like, OpenAI is going to eat Microsoft alive. And then Satya says, people have been trying for 50 years, and that's the fun of it. Each day you learn something new and innovate, partner, and compete. Excited for Grok 4 on Azure and looking forward to Grok 5. Dude, when someone responds like that, the guy above just looks like shit, bro. Like, again, I love Elon, but he looks like a dick. And Satya's like, people have been trying, but we're really excited to integrate Grok 5 into Azure. And then, Elon probably felt like a dick and he deleted it. But yeah, Nadella definitely got him on that one. He was trying to be politically correct about it. Imagine if Nadella and Sundar and Jassy had the same type of tonality that Elon has, and they were as unhinged on Twitter as Elon was. Like, imagine if freaking Nadella just tweeted the stock price of Microsoft versus the stock price of Tesla year to date. Like, dude, that tweet would have gone crazy. We're talking about like everyone would have been talking about that tweet. But Nadella didn't do that, Nadella didn't do that. That would be cinema. That would be a freaking movie. If he was like, well, Tesla's down 30%, Microsoft's up 25%. So you can keep trying, buddy, but he went the high road. And that's why people love Nadella. That's why people love him. Robinhood right here, 116.14, Nvidia 181.92, and then Palantir 186.70. Okay, let's see what else we have. Richard, thank you again for the Turkish liras. Not the Turkish, the Turkish. I got a great return because of you. Thank you. Great energy, great English. I appreciate you, man. It's so funny because so many of you internationally send super chats and you probably think you're struggling with your English. And then you watch my streams, a guy who's lived in America his whole life and the dude can't speak. Oh, we got Sam Altman on CNBC. Let's see what Sam Altman has to say about GPT-5. And then we got Besant. We'll take a look at what Besant is saying as well in a second. All right, here we go. Here is Sam Altman this morning.
Got to go back to the business. Lots of questions about just the race for talent right now. These huge numbers we hear, Mark Zuckerberg trying to, pay people $1 billion to attract them from your place and others. What does that race look like at the moment? How many people, by the way, are there out there right this moment that you think are in this sort of like super league that are almost, indispensable?
Definitely, this is the most intense talent market I have seen in my career. But if you think about the economic value being created by these people and how much we're all spending on compute, maybe the market stays like this. I'm not totally sure what's gonna happen. But it is like a crazy intense comp for a very small number of people right now.
But is it like 200 people? And what do they know? What do these 200 people know that nobody else does?
The hope is they know how to like discover the remaining ideas to get to superintelligence. That there are going to be a handful of algorithmic ideas and a medium-sized handful of people who can figure them out.
How many people do you think that really is?
Like how many people are capable of doing it, or how many people actually like make the discoveries that matter? And like,
how many people are capable? Like when we talk about like the market size, how big is the market right this minute for these people?
I bet it's like much bigger than people think. But some companies in the space have decided that they're going to go after a few shiny names. Right. But I think there's like many thousands of people that we could find, and probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in the world that are capable of doing this kind of work.
Your company is reportedly now worth up to $500 billion. Is that accurate in terms of
I think I'm not supposed to like comment on currently in-flight stuff.
Let me ask you this. There is a effort by Robinhood and, by the way, others to try to sell your shares in a secondary market. Sometimes people are tokenizing these special purpose vehicles and other things like that. What do you make of what's happening? And do you think or want the public to be able to access these shares like that versus, by the way, there's some people are buying into Microsoft now and buying into SoftBank, thinking that's like a public way backdoor into buying shares in your company?
Look, I totally get why people wish we were just a public company now, and I have very conflicted, not even conflicted, I have like negative feelings about how much growth happens in private markets and how, not every investor gets access to this phase of growth. Whenever we do go public, if we ever go public, I think there will be tremendous upside left in front of the company. But I get why people would like love for us to be public or sooner, and I'm sure people also get the reality of like we're in still a crazy position, and it would be very hard for us to be public given just all of the realities of that. But I hate that people get pushed to like various degrees of sketchy ways to try to get exposure. Yeah.
It's hilarious that he thinks it's sketchy given that he has his own cryptocurrency. But here's what he said about Elon Musk as well this morning.
And then finally, one of the paths to getting public is to make a deal with Microsoft. I think as you're trying to, when I say make a deal, you're going to create this private vehicle effectively out of a not-for-profit. What is the state of play there?
Still trying, still like positive stuff. And we have lots of other things that are kind of higher priority at the moment, but like positive progress on it.
You knew I'd ask the question. I think you knew I'd ask the question. You probably saw Elon yesterday. He said, quote, OpenAI will eat Microsoft alive. And then Satya responding to that. What do you think when you read that?
I don't think about him that much.
What do you think of the larger idea, though, that he's effectively saying that OpenAI long-term will eat Microsoft alive?
I don't even know what that means. Do you know what that means?
I'm not sure what he means, except to say that he thinks in the grand scheme of the partnership that ultimately you'll have more power, more influence, and more leverage over them than they'll have over you.
I thought he was I thought he was just like tweeting all day about how much like OpenAI sucks and their model is bad and not going to be a good company and all of that. So I don't know how you square those two things.
Fair enough. I am told that you have to go, sir. I wish you didn't, and that you could stay because I could talk to you as you know
help making
for a very long time. Oh, and I do need help with the app, but we can help with
I'm happy to help you.
Maybe I'll send you a note later.
Dude, he hates Elon so much. Hates him for a lot of reasons, aka kicking him out of his own nonprofit. But Palantir right here, 187.33. Hoodie got to 116.80, folks. I think she wants it. I think she wants 117. But he hates it so much. Is the internet good? Are we okay? Are we okay? Are we okay? Are we okay? It's blurry, but is the audio okay? Is the audio okay? Okay, the audio's okay. At least the audio's okay. The audio's okay. Dude, I don't know what's going on with the internet today, guys. I don't know what's happening with it. I know I look like a potato right now. But The audio's good now. Yeah, the audio's good. The picture will fix itself in a second. It'll give us. I don't know. I don't know what's happening today. I don't know why it's being like this. It's really annoying, but it's happening today. I did pay my internet bill. It's just being dumb. What I was saying is, I think he really hates Elon, and I think Elon really hates him. So it is what it is. All right, hoodie. Here we go. No more potato on my screen. It looks better. We have 5 cents. Wow, we got to 116.99. We were 1 cent away. Got rejected right there. 5 cents. I think she wants it. 117 has 4,000 shares. I did not see the 117. Did it hit it? Oh, it hit it for like a second. All right, we got 170. It hit it for like a literal millisecond. I saw 116.99, and I guess it just popped right above it for a second, and then I didn't see 117. We should get back there. We gotta really get above 117. Let's see if we can really get above 117. I think we will. We're right there. We touched it, so we should get back above it. But we got to see. We got to see 116.70. Sato, thank you for the donation for AK Media company expenses. Dude, I don't know why the internet just wakes up and decides to be stupid on a random Friday. But all right, let's see. It's got to hold above 117. It's got to hold above. That was there for I saw it for literally a millisecond. We got to get above it. We were there. We broke through, so there's no resistance. I think we'll get back there pretty soon. But let's see. And then Palantir is just flirting with 188. She's flirting with 188, 187.22, Nvidia 182, and then Google right here is at 201. Maybe it's StreamYard. Maybe it's StreamYard because my other computer is working fine on the internet. So I don't know. That's being weird. That's being a bit weird. Let's see. Did we get it? Are we back above? Oh, it's getting rejected right at 117. I think we'll get there. 116.40. I mean, if we closed at 116.40, I'd be pretty happy for the day regardless. But we got to see if we can get there. Amit, you should stop mining Bitcoin with your PC for better stream. I have never mined Bitcoin. I wish I did. You know, I had a friend tell me about Bitcoin back in 2017. Like, really tried to explain it to me. I thought the guy was high. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no idea. I wish I listened. Robin, all right, got rejected at 117. We'll see if we can get back there. Touched it for a second. Very quick second. I think it gets back there. Google 201, Nvidia 182, Palantir 187, then SoundHound right here, still up 30% of the day. Oscar, is that one up a bit? Oscar is 1540. Not bad. 2%. This thing was stuck at 1350 for the past week and a half. So this one getting some lemonade as well. That one's going green. That's up 6.5. And then UNH, that is also up 1%. I do not think the S&P rebalance is happening today from everything I read. So I think this run is more so because of crypto and the broader bull market versus S&P speculation. Now, if we do get in, that would be awesome, but I really don't think they're doing the rebalance today. They would have made an announcement already that they're planning a rebalance, yada, yada. It looks like they're going to keep Paramount in there until September and then do the rebalance. But in September, it should happen. You know, I don't keep in contact with that friend, dude. I talked, he was at debate camp. We were both instructors, and he was not really even a friend. He was like an acquaintance at the time. And like we taught a class together. So he was, you know, we would talk about random subjects and we talked about Bitcoin. But from my understanding, he had a decent amount. And he doesn't, you know, given the little I remember about his personality, he doesn't seem like the type of guy who would have sold it. He was very philosophical. And so, you know, he probably understood like the overall philosophy around Bitcoin. And I don't know. I doubt he sold it, but I don't keep in contact with him anymore. SBET right here, that goes down 3%. All right, so SBET's getting hit, and then BMNR still holding 12%, but that is a little bit lower from the high of days. Okay, let's see if we have any other updates. Actually, let's go to Basent. So we had Basent live this morning as well. We didn't really get anything from Sam Altman. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but he didn't say anything. It sounded like he didn't want to be there. It sounded like he was just like doing it to do it, but he didn't really want to be there, and he didn't really give us much on what's going on. Here is Basent this morning in regards to what's going on with trade deals.
We have not seen a transmission into prices. And if we do, it could be a one-time price adjustment. But what we are seeing thus far is the manufacturers are eating it. So the overseas companies just taken advantage of the U.S. for so long that the U.S. companies are shouldering a lot of the tariffs, and perhaps we'll see some price on consumers. But overall, inflation has been very nascent. And as a matter of fact, 2 months ago, we saw inflation drop for the first time in 4 years.
Why do you think the Fed has chosen its path?
Look, I think that a couple of reasons. But I think a big part of it was somewhat a lack of logic, because on one side, they were saying, okay, we need to wait risk management. We need to see if we are going to see inflation from the tariffs. And again, it would not have been inflation. A one-time price adjustment is just like, does your driver's license cost more this year? Then on the other side, they lowered their economic projections for the year. So traditionally, when economic projections go down, interest rates go down. So now the market is pricing in a substantial probability of rate cuts over the coming months, and I would expect that the Fed will be following the market.
There's going to affect. There are some people worried that other countries are going to get together to try to reduce the impact of what the U.S. is trying to do. For example, Reuters has this report that India and Brazil getting together, the two leaders speaking on the phone, saying there's going to be a state visit to India.
Okay, this is important. Let's see how he politically handles the India stuff.
It occurred on this day that the conversation among BRICS group of countries tackling U.S. President Donald Trump's levies, the group of major emerging economies, also including China, Russia, and South Africa. In other words, the BRIC countries possibly trying to do something to counter what the U.S. is doing. Is there a worry at all about that?
Well, Brett, I think it's mostly performative. They can call each other, they can meet, but everyone wants access to the U.S. market. And what we've seen thus far was, other than a brief retaliation by China, there's been absolutely no retaliation. We have 18 important trading partners, and we have substantial deals with about 2/3 of them. And with India, President Trump has added a third facet to tariffs. Alexander Hamilton, who was the original tariff man, used tariffs for two reasons. One, to fund the government, two, to protect U.S. industry, and now President Trump is using tariffs as an instrument of foreign policy, and he is putting secondary tariffs on India for buying Russian oil.
Right. And
all right, so basically Besant's argument is Trump is negotiating. I mean, the same stuff we've been hearing for the past couple of weeks. I think they will get a deal done with India. It just might take some time. We have not hit 180 yet. We got to 187.99. I have 187.99. Got rejected right at that level on Webull and Hood. So let's see if it can crack above it. Same thing with Hoodie. We touched 117, then for like less than a millisecond, and then got rejected. And then Palantir, they literally gave it 187.99, but they did not let it get 188. So for both of those, might be taking a little bit of consolidation right here before they try to break through. But Hoodie now back to 115.70. Palantir right here. Still pretty close. 187.75. Soundhound up 30%. Incredible for Soundhound. That one getting some momentum. And you are seeing some green. Did you buy your internet from India? Dude, why is it being bad on a Friday? Like, this is not the day for the internet to be stupid. India is escalating it because of BRICS. Yeah, and I think that's really stupid. Like, I mean, I get Indian sovereignty, but BRICS is not the answer, bro. Like, Russia and China are not our friends, no matter how much oil they give us. They're not our friends. India is a democracy. It's not a perfect democracy, but it's a democracy. Russia and China are not democracies. So, like, just going down that route is not the smartest thing, in my opinion. 187.75. Oh, Trump just tweeted. Here we go. Here we go. All right. It's a long one. It's a long one. Here we go. Tariffs are having a huge positive impact on the stock market almost every day. New records are set. New records are set. In addition, hundreds of billions of dollars are pouring into our country's coffers. If a radical left court ruled against us at this late date in an attempt to bring down or disturb the largest amount of money, wealth creation, and influence the USA has ever seen, it would be impossible to ever recover or pay back. These massive sums, Palantir 10 cents away. Trying to read this tweet, but we're 10 cents away. This massive sums of money and honor, it would be 1929 all over again, a Great Depression. Okay, so basically Trump is saying if the courts try to stop the tariffs,
there will be a great depression. If they were going to rule against the wealth, strength, and power of America, they should have done so long ago at the beginning of the case when our entire country, while never having a chance at this kind of greatness again, would have not been put in a 1929 style of jeopardy. There is no way America could recover from such judicial tragedy. But I know our court system better than anyone. There is no one in history that has gone through the trials, tribulations, and uncertainties such as I, and absolutely terrible, but also amazingly beautiful things can happen. Our country deserves success and greatness, not turmoil, failure, and disgrace. God bless America. Okay, so I didn't hear about the courts potentially having an issue with the tariffs. I don't know if you guys have, but it seems like the courts might be bringing up an issue, and that is why Trump is putting out this statement to warn people about how the courts are operating. Pound right here, 187.59. Hoodie trying to get back to 116. Yeah, it does look like, I mean, I see a couple headlines here around the courts potentially challenging the tariffs. I feel like that was like 2 months ago they tried to do that. So I don't know if that's going to hold up or if that's going to stop him from being able to implement the tariffs. But he wants to let everyone know that it would not be a good thing if that happened. Tesla regulator lists Tesla Robotaxi LLC as a licensee on the website. Okay, that's bullish. Tesla 334 up 3.64%. Looks like Tesla is trying to get most of the licensees and permits that are needed to get robotaxis into fruition. So that's not horrible. Yes, average U.S. tariffs are now 18.3%. They are the highest since 1934. I mean, look, we're going to collect about $300 billion of revenue. The economic impact of tariffs, I don't think any of us fully understand outside of the revenue. Like, will it actually raise prices? Will it actually stop consumer demand yet? Like, I don't know. We're going to have to see. But as of now, that revenue top line number is, definitely something that Trump's going to be very excited about in terms of going forward. So we're going to see the impact of the tariffs as they come through. Take a look at this as well. These are all the companies that have committed to investing in the United States based on the announcements. Apple right there at $600 billion, Stargate $500 billion, Nvidia $200 billion, TSMC $100 billion. And then you have Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson, Hyundai, Eli Lilly, Venture Global, Merck, Stellantis, etc. So you have about a 1.5 trillion of money that has been pledged. Now, again, Apple did pledge $350 billion back in 2018, and I never got an update on that $350 billion that got invested. So we're going to have to see if these commitments actually go through. Obviously, it would be a good thing for everyone if they went through, but it is also something that the market is expecting these companies to commit to in order to deal with the tariffs. Now, here also, we looked at Fundstrat this morning. This was yesterday. 63% of companies have beat earnings. That was updated this morning. 445 out of the 500 companies that report earnings have reported. 83% of them have beat. So again, from an earnings perspective, we are seeing a lot more momentum on the beats. How is HIMS doing today? We didn't look at HIMS. HIMS, is this one flat? You got Google at 201. HIMS right here is flat, down 0.5%. Yeah, I mean, look, my HIMS position, honestly, I don't know what to do with it because I don't really want to add to it. I also don't think I want to sell it because I know HIMS is cheap at this valuation, but it's one of those things. I was writing up my portfolio like mid-year update last night, and I was just like, what am I doing with this? What's the point of having this? Is it just to sell covered calls against, or is there a real growth story here? That earnings was good, but it wasn't that great. And so this whole HIMS to 100 by the end of the year, I mean, could it happen? Yeah, it definitely could, but it's also might take a little bit more time than expected. And it's done very well all year, right? So no one can be mad. I mean, HIMS was at 20 for the majority of the year. My average is at 55. So I got to think, where's my alpha being in this name? And so I don't know. We got to see. I got to see if I want to do anything with that. But right now it's just there at those 700 shares. Palantir right here, 187, Nvidia 182, and then Hoodie 115. So we do have some red candles from the high of days again, coming down a little bit at around 10:40 a.m. Still kind of early in the day.
but we did see some pretty strong moves across these names. Tesla as well, just below 334. Let's finish up with the percent here as well.
That is targeting India for an additional 25%. That gets it up to 50%. But what about the folks who are saying, why not do that to China? China arguably buys more Russian oil than India does.
Well, we already have a deal with China. India came to the table early, but they were pretty recalcitrant in the process. So there is no existing trade deal with India. And look, President Trump is keeping all his options open on the sanctions and the tariffs to stop this terrible war in Russia. President Trump is a president of peace. He wants to see this terrible conflict ended. And the China tariffs could be on the table at some point.
Mm-hmm. How do you characterize the Chinese negotiations? You've been a big part of them in Geneva. There's a lot of facets to them. How would you tell somebody about where the state of the negotiations with China is?
Well, Brett, it's a very unique negotiation because we go back to the negotiations in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even the early 2000s. Our trading partners, our largest trading partners, were our allies. And then up until the Berlin Wall came down, our largest military threat was from the Soviet Union, which was not a big economy. China is a special case because it is in one country our largest trading problem and the biggest military threat. So it's three-dimensional chess with the Chinese as opposed to other countries, especially our allies, where it's more of a straight-up trade negotiation. And the Chinese are tough. We are tougher, I believe. President Trump has created a lot of leverage. He has a very good personal relationship with President Xi, which helps, but the Chinese don't get special favors, and they are a non-market-based economy, which is, over the long run, incompatible with pure free trade. We need fair trade with them. So this year, we have a 10% baseline tariff, a 20% fentanyl tariff, because they are providing the precursor drugs to fentanyl, and then about 20% tariffs from President Trump's first term. So
and then
over 50%.
And the TikTok deal and that decision is separate, you're saying?
Yes.
Last thing, do you think you will have sustained 3% economic growth? And how necessary is that for the Trump economic agenda?
Brett, I am very excited about several aspects of the boom that I think we're about to see. We are going to see a CapEx boom. We have trillions of dollars coming into the country. Just yesterday, Tim Cook from Apple was in the Oval. He and Apple had committed 500 million in CapEx. They added another 500 billion. They added another 100 billion. So, a total of 600 billion. And we're seeing that from all kinds of companies.
I think Scotty B is sleepy, bro. I think he's sleepy. Scotty B, to his credit, does a lot of interviews. I think like every day he does, at least every other day, he does at least one of Fox or CNBC or Bloomberg or whatever. I think he's tired, bro. I think he's a little tired. Palantir right there, trying to go for 188 again, 187.51. He looks sleepy, right? Yeah, he looks sleepy, bro. Looks like he just needs to, sleep for a couple hours or something and not do interviews. Because, he's been talking the same stuff over and over. And he's, he knows his words have an impact. So he's probably very careful with exactly what he says. And that can definitely be, stressful just from an emotional perspective and the actual talking itself. So there you go. But yeah, he has done a lot of it. That's one thing I do like about this administration, dude. They are out there every day. I don't remember Janet Yellen doing a single interview for 4 years. Now, I'm sure she did, but it wasn't to the point where we actually heard from her as the Treasury Secretary
in Biden's term. I mean, Biden barely did interviews, right? So whether you like Biden or hate Trump or whatever, it's just like we're getting a content in chief and we're getting a content in chief administration that's following through. That's constantly in the media every single day. Every single day. Amish, you did a ton of interviews. Dude, I did a market open throughout Biden's term, at least 2022, 2023. I don't remember streaming a Janet Yellen interview. And if she did a ton of interviews in 4 years, if a ton means like 10 interviews, Scotty B does 10 a week. And I'm not joking, bro. He legit does 10 a week. So I feel like there's just like a total difference between their approaches to this. SoFi 2213, Google 200, Hoodie 115. All right, so market's taking a little bit of a breather. Google still holding 201.62, which is not horrible. AMD 173. Palantir still holding 187 too. And trying to get to that 188. Trying to get there. Because there was no tariff war. Okay, I mean, like, I get it. Fair, right? Obviously, Trump shook everything up. And so you need constant coverage on explaining what they're doing. But still, just in terms of like pure transparency, we did not get a lot, in my opinion. You can disagree with me, but I just don't think we got a lot of cabinet officials actually speaking to the media every day. Granted, some people hate that Trump goes live every day and makes all these headlines. I don't think we're going to get another administration like that actually embraces the media that deeply. I think Trump, he likes it. He likes the attention. So that's why he does it more often than not. But I don't know if we get another administration like that. Lilly is not going bankrupt, dude. I mean, look, those earnings weren't amazing. I know it's down 1.7% here. It was at 760. This thing was at like 900 at one point. I didn't go deep into the earnings. I know there's some concerns about their pipeline. There's obviously some concerns about GLP-1. But this is a $600 billion company. Like, I don't think it ends up like UNH. And I think if Eli Lilly were to fall 50%, it's way more attractive than UNH because Eli Lilly's margins on their drugs are way better than UNH's margins on their healthcare. So I doubt we would get an opportunity like that. But if we did, that would be something I would definitely get interested in on Eli Lilly. Tessie, are we seeing some momentum? Tesla 334. Let me check 335 resistance. It got to 334.99. So let me pull up Tessie. It's basically where my average is, around this 335. 335 resistance is 133,000 shares, 133,680 shares on Palantir, or not Palantir, on Tesla. Dude, I've been saying Palantir so many times this week. I'm sorry if there's been a little bit too much coverage on Palantir this week. I know it's just like, I mean, it had one of the best quarters in history, and obviously the stock has reciprocated. And so I know there's people here that don't own Palantir, don't really care about Palantir. I get it. But it's just been one of the best weeks ever for this company. One of the best weeks ever. I showed this video in the morning, but I'll show it right here again. I was going through some of my old videos on Palantir, and let's just say when the stock was $7 and community morale was down and, we needed something to be excited about, I made a video on my Q1 earnings preview outside just to make it a little fun. And this is a clip from 2.5 years ago. First thing I want to see in Palantir's Q1 2023 earnings is U.S. commercial growth. Full year 2021, they did $201 million of revenue. By full year 2022, that went up 67% to $335 million of revenue. Alex Karp has basically gone on pretty much every interview over the past couple months and has said U.S. commercial is growing like a weed. Now, last time I checked, weed makes you high. So if it's growing like a weed, it should be growing high. And so I'm pretty excited for U.S. commercial growth. First thing I want...
Dude, stock was $7. We needed some entertainment. We needed some fun. And that was the quarter. This was the quarter right before the breakout. This was the quarter right before I went from 7 to 10 because they continued GAAP profitability 2 quarters in a row. And yeah, we had to have some fun. The outfit was legit, bro. I don't care what you say. The outfit, you had the scarf, you had the time is now watch. You had the flip-flops with the slacks. The outfit was legit. Palantir right here at 187. Amazon kind of flat on the day. Meta 765. Microsoft 521. Grab
down 1.7. Hoodie below 115. If we can get a 114 close, I'll be happy because that's above that 113. But we are getting a little bit of retracement right here. Wow, Apple 223. Apple 223. Not stopping. Apple really doing its thing. I mean, finally getting some momentum. Apple now year to date. Let me see. Is it still red year to date? Yeah, it's still down 8% year to date. So the upside for Apple hopefully really still is large going into the end of the year if it can even break even and get up there. Dude, I wear sandals with socks I don't understand how people don't wear sandals with socks. Like, I wear socks all the time. The only time I don't wear socks is when I go to sleep. I just feel like my feet get sweaty without socks on. Like, whenever I see people without socks on with sandals, even though I know people make fun of it, like, I can't do that. I just, like, it's weird to me. I feel like I need the freaking the socks on it. I know the whole point of a sandal is to have your feet out, but still, socks and sandals. I've been doing it since I was like in like freaking middle school. Socks and sandals has been my thing. Okay, let's see. I do not shower in socks, no. But I usually am wearing more, like I'm wearing socks. Like usually before I go live, dude, I have to put on my socks before I go live because my like it's a lot of talking, and although we have air conditioning, like I end up sweating a bit, and then my feet get sweaty, and I can't handle that. I can't handle that. So I have to wear some socks. Okay, let's see what else we've got going on here in terms of headlines. I mean, I don't think we have anything too crazy. We talked about GPT-5. We talked about a lot of the earnings. We don't have any earnings after the bell. I mean, let's get a little bit of coverage on this CEA chair, who's now going to be the new Fed governor, and get an understanding of who this guy is as well.
President to the Fed to be a Fed governor sounds initially temporary. The president writing in a tweet, "It is my great honor to announce that I have chosen Dr. Stephen Myron, current chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, to serve in the just vacated seat on the Federal Reserve Board until January 31st, 2026. In the meantime, we will continue to search for a permanent replacement." Evercore ISI writing, "Given his support of Trump's policies, we think Myron would likely continue to act as a Trump loyalist once on the Fed board, calling for lower rates and voting for rate cuts in FOMC meetings." More on that in a second. Myron, though, has become known as a principal author of the controversial Mar-a-Lago Accords. What do they call for? Weakening the U.S. dollar, boosting U.S. manufacturing, reducing the trade deficit, and using tariffs. Sound familiar? Myron is an economist with a PhD from Harvard, has also called for reform at the Fed, including 8-year terms instead of 14, and governors serving at the pleasure of the president. Well, Myron's appointment would make 4 of 7 governors Trump appointees, including Waller, Bowman, and you may want to, I don't know if you want to count Fed Chair Jay Powell, would be the 4th. How much of a difference all this makes? Well, that's the big question. Unclear to me. It would be difficult for the Senate to approve him before the September 17th meeting, where markets already expect a cut, and Fed futures are showing pretty much toying with the idea of 3 cuts this year. So may not make much of a change this year. Question is whether or not next year into 2026, depending on if Myron is there, if it does make a big deal. Guys?
Steve, that Fed reform that he's talking about, how would that even work? How likely is that as a possibility?
Sorry, you asked about the accord?
The reforming of the Fed, the making it perhaps less independent.
The reform. It would all pretty much have to go through Congress. Somewhat complicated by a strange Supreme Court, not quite ruling, but comment when the president went to go fire one of the heads of the NLRB. The Supreme Court kind of went out of its way to say the Fed is different here. So a bunch of that would have to go through Congress. Not a lot.
I don't think Congress is going to approve the ability for the president to have more power in regards to the independence of the Fed, but you never know based on how the Fed governors decide that. Let's get an update right here on Trade Desk and try to have a better understanding of why this thing is down 40%.
On its customers. Julia Borson has those details for us. Julia.
Hey, good morning, David. Well, shares are now down about 39%, despite the company beating its second quarter estimates on the top and bottom line. Analysts pointing to 2 main issues: the impact of tariffs on the macro environment, as well as growing pressure from competition and Amazon in particular. Trade Desk CEO Jeff Green saying the big companies trade desks work with are disproportionately impacted by tariffs. Quote, some of the world's largest brands are absolutely facing pressure and some amount of uncertainty somehow.
Wow. So this is a tariff thing. Trade Desk saying, hey, some of our biggest companies, our clients, are affected with tariffs, which means they might not be able to pay us essentially as much as they were paying us because they're going to have to cut the most obvious part of the stack, which is advertising, right? That's like the easiest thing to cut, and that's what Trade Desk does.
Have to respond more than others to tariffs. Many are managing inflation worries and the related pricing that comes with that. Now, we've seen 4 downgrades at least of the stock this morning. MoffettNathanson pointing to the impact of Amazon's growing digital ad sales platform, drawing advertisers to reportedly move over significant portions of their ad budgets, while Amazon's deal with Roku will provide more ad inventory, and Amazon Prime Video is launching new NBA programming, saying, quote, the Amazon shadow over this stock is now front and center. It seems inevitable that Amazon's momentum will become more apparent even to the Trade Desk's diehard bulls. Now, Wedbush also downgrading to neutral, writing, quote, Amazon is now unlocking access to traditionally exclusive premium ad inventory across the open internet, validating the strength of its DSP and suggesting the Trade Desk's value proposition could erode over time. Back over to you.
Julia, what do you think is the read-through for the broader media industry here? Do you think this is idiosyncratic, or is there more to be concerned about?
Well, what's so interesting is that this is in contrast to what we heard from Pinterest just yesterday about the fact that the ad market is actually stronger than many had feared. And I think what we're seeing with companies like Pinterest or Meta is that they are very much exposed to the small and medium-sized advertisers as well as the big advertisers. And maybe, and this is what we heard from Jeff Green, the CEO of the Trade Desk, is that maybe those SMBs, small and medium-sized advertisers, are less exposed to tariff concerns than the big brands are. And so if you're able to spread out your ad exposure really, really broadly, you're going to be able to see more strength. One thing we also heard from the likes of Pinterest that we did not hear as much from the Trade Desk is that AI is really helping these other platforms deliver results for their brands in a way that we haven't heard that from the Trade Desk.
Yeah, that's definitely been a story for the big scale guys. Julia, fascinating story. Obviously, the price action is interesting. Julia Boorstin. Coming up next hour, at least 12 firms raising their targets on Expedia as shares pop.
So it looks like it's not the CFO leaving. It looks like it's the tariff concern around advertising. Or not even advertising, but the tariff concern around their clients not being able to pay the same types of money they were paying before. Nvidia 182, sound down 32%. Now I feel like it's getting a little bit more squeezy right here. That's green. Nvidia 182.48, Robinhood 114. You do have a red candle from 117, sadly, but holding 114 would be nice. And then Palantir, yeah, just below 187. Just below 187 on Palantir. So there you go. Duolingo as well. Wow. This one, nasty. Down 5%. Again, I don't think GPT is a bear case for it, but market definitely feels the example Sam Altman used yesterday around language learning, like, was a shot in the face against Duolingo. So yeah, that one's getting hit. S&P inclusion is not today. From everything I read, I can't literally confirm, but from what I read, it looks very unlikely. It looks like the committee is going to be keeping Paramount in for until September. They're going to keep like the Class A shares inside, even though the Class C shares are being acquired by Skydance. And yeah, that's September is when you're going to get an update on that. I don't know why. It's kind of stupid, but I guess that's what they're doing. Here's the new CEO talking about Paramount Skydance, but I feel like they should be getting rid of it soon.
You know, you and I did have a chance to talk when you first got the deal. That was a long time ago. Finally, I feel like at least you may have some opportunity to sort of expand on some of your thoughts, particularly when it comes to technology, David. You know, you've talked a lot about the importance of technology at the new Paramount, but what does that actually mean in reality?
Yeah, of course. So I'll give you a couple of examples. And look, I want to be clear, when we think about kind of our priorities, we think in order to be able to effectively transition this business, the number one thing we need to do is obviously win on content. And that means being the #1 destination for the most talented artists and filmmakers in the world, #1 destination for the most important sports rights. But when we talk about technology, what we mean is we want to be the most technologically capable media company. And I think, and so I'll give you a couple examples for that. Company, obviously, Paramount Plus, being a scaled streaming service is incredibly important to our business, right? Right now, the company operates 3 independent streaming services on 3 separate stacks on multiple clouds. That is the most ineffective way to do it, and it is also the most expensive way to do it. So one of the first things that we're going to do is obviously converge all of those platforms onto one unified tech stack in one cloud. And by doing that, we will actually be able to deliver a better experience to our customers, but we will also be able to make the product significantly more efficient.
Yeah. Many of us yesterday watched the rollout of ChatGPT 5.
So here's my question to everybody. Do people subscribe to Paramount Plus? Is that like a real thing? I think I looked at their stuff like 5 years ago, and then I never got back into it. Linear TV obviously is not working for them. Now, Skydance is a lot more successful than some of the traditional cable networks, which is why Paramount is being sold off to them. But, okay, so for those that are saying yes, let's do a poll. What do you watch on Paramount Plus? It's free with Walmart. There's a Walmart Plus subscription? I feel like I should know this. Walmart Plus, it's free? Okay. Do you sub to Para Plus? What is on Paramount Plus that's like worth watching? Yellowstone? Okay, Steve has been saying that's a good show. But Billions is on Max too, I think. Like, what is exclusive to Paramount? I know they own Nickelodeon, but a lot of that stuff they license to Netflix as well. So there's a lot of those shows on Netflix. Dexter. I tried watching Dexter for like an episode, and I didn't like it. Star Trek, South Park. Okay, South Park's a big one. Tulsa Kings. I don't know what that is. Landman. I don't know what that is either. I think Steve likes that one. I'm seeing a lot of Star Treks. What is Landman? Landman show. Oh, yeah. Steve did show me the trailer for this. Landman. Billy Bob Thornton. 10 episodes. 8.2 out of 10. Okay, so it looks like they got a hit with that one. Palantir still 186. TTD is, whoa, 40%, dude. 39.07. My goodness. Ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly one. They have some news offerings. Champions League. They have soccer there. Okay. Yeah, see, I've never thought of Paramount Plus as a real competitor to like Netflix or even Max. But I guess there's enough content that's making this merger seem attractive to Skydance. Netflix, by the way, just under $1,200. Hymns still red. Oscar, that's up a little bit. Microsoft 521. Meta 764. SBET's probably down because of the dilution from yesterday. I mean, it had a little bit of a pump today. It's kind of recovering. It was up 4, and then it was down 3. Now it's flat. But BM&R, again, the reason BM&R I think is really moving is because Tom Lee hasn't dumped the shares yet. Eventually that will happen, and hopefully it doesn't really tank the stock, but it is what it is, right? But they've already bought, I mean, I think Tom Lee has like about 2 billion of Ethereum now. They have a lot of Ethereum on the balance sheet. I think it's maybe 1 billion, but I mean, they have the most Ethereum out there. So they did do a ton of dilution already to get Ethereum, and now it's just a question of can they, hold on to their lead and continue adding more. And if they have to dilute to do it, then they have to do it. They have more than 3 billion now on the balance sheet. Holy crap, dude. I feel like last week they had 1 billion. Yeah, I think you're right. Wow. Yeah, there you go. 833,000 tokens, excess of 2.9 billion. Oh yeah, we did cover this. We covered this on Monday. Yeah. We covered this on Monday. You're right. That's wild, bro. Absolutely wild. Rational Mind says buy TTD. Emotions say no. Okay, let's do it. Let's do a poll right here. By the way, 74% of you say you don't sub to Paramount Plus. Who's buying TTD? Who's buying TTD? Or are you buying TTD? Just feels like when it gets this ridiculous 40% down on a good company, got into the S&P last month, like you buy that dip. But also, I mean, if you're getting that many downgrades across the board because your clients are going to cut ad spend, which is the opposite of AppLovin. AppLovin absolutely demolished it. Dude, who's the AppLovin CEO? Who is this person? I've never heard of them. Adam Ferogi. Adam Ferogi. Let's see if he has any interviews. I've never seen this guy talk. I mean, they had a totally different way of thinking. Yeah, 3-day rule. The 3-day rule is definitely important when it comes to. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He did one interview 4 months ago, and then the other ones were a year ago, and then 3 years ago. So he's not out there that much. But AppLovin's doing its thing. Google right here, 3% is green, 202. Let me check 203 resistance on the Googs. Let's see if we can get there. 203, 11,000. I mean, there's not a lot, dude. There's not a lot for 203 if we get there. There's not a lot. Amit, what are your thoughts on Archer? I like Archer. I don't own it. I think they are promising in the eVTOL space. Obviously, they have good partnerships with Palantir and Anduril. However, the stock is up 300% from September of last year. So it's made a run. I know it got to 15, and a lot of people thought it could get to 20, and it probably will one day. But they don't have earnings yet. They don't have revenue yet. They do have a backlog of about $4 billion. Their market cap $6 billion. So if you assume that backlog turns into revenue, then that is bullish for them. They just have to get their stuff into production, into motion in the real world so people can use it. But I think they're very promising, and I think there might be a defense angle to them as well, given the partnership with Anduril. I just personally don't own it. Tesla right here, 331. Oscar, 1527. Lemonade, 50. And then Palantir, 186. Hoodie, are we still holding 114? 114.50. 114.50. VG is falling. Are you buying? I have no idea why VG is falling. That's down 3%. I never bought VG. I don't fully understand the thesis. I know it's natural gas, and I've heard Chris and Matt talk about it. I'm not the biggest enthusiast of these types of companies, so I just never went deep into it. So if I buy it, I would have to actually understand it better. But I do know from listening to Chris and Matt that a decade from now, their pipelines are going to be just massive, and the free cash flow should be amazing. So if you do buy it, it's more of a long-term play and a bet on energy more than anything else. The 3-day rule is when a stock falls really bad, you give it 3 days and let it play out. So you don't buy it immediately on the dip, and you don't buy it immediately on the run up. Wow, Nvidia. Where did this come from? 183.30, 4.47 trillion, 50 cents, and we got all-time highs on Nvidia. Okay, Nvidia waking up right here, 183.20. But so on trade desk, you would wait until basically Wednesday next week, and you want to see, does this 40% go to 50%? Or even if you have to buy it higher than the absolute bottom, maybe this is the bottom, you're happy to buy it higher because you don't want to catch a falling knife. So usually you give it 3 days to let it play out. 3-day rule is a grinder term. You guys, dude, I was saying this yesterday. We were watching that GPT stream. You guys are unhinged. Like, you would think everyone here is an investor and you're like a proper, calm person thinking of allocating capital. Nope. It's a bunch of people that invest that are unhinged. And some of these jokes yesterday, bro, all right, I'm just going to repeat one of them because I thought it was insane, but my friend sent me a picture of me laughing. A girl popped up on the screen and she was introducing GPT-5. And one of you guys said, it looks like she ate GPT-4. And I lost my shit, bro. I had to put my hand over my lips to not, I was just like, what? Like, legit unhinged. Unfreaking, I'm like, bro, goodness. And to OpenAI's credit, engineers are not the best at public speaking, right? So now look, those engineers really sucked. I'm just gonna be honest. They sucked at presenting. It was not good. It was not natural. It felt scripted. And even if it is scripted, it's not supposed to feel scripted, right? That's the whole point of the presentation. And like, it was just not good. And I'm like, you don't have any engineers in the company. They don't have to be like the person who came up with the product. They just have to be someone who can memorize a script and then talk about it. And it was just bad, bro. And it wasn't the accents. I'm not even talking about the accents. I'm talking about the actual, like I've coached communication for a living. Like I'm talking about how they actually presented. The accents are irrelevant. It's the way they spoke, the awkward pauses, awkward laughs, the moments of silence when you would think they would fill it up with like something informative, but it was just weird. It wasn't good at all. At all. And I'm like, you don't have anyone in the company that can speak? And I guess no. I guess like they all have engineers that just like suck at talking, but it wasn't good. As a professional communications coach, it was bad. And so granted, you're not expecting the engineers to be able to speak, right? They code, not supposed to be speaking, but still, I do not think it was good. And then so on top of that, when it's so awkward, it's so cringe, and then you guys are being so unhinged, I mean, it definitely made it entertaining. Saeed says, bro, I'm an engineer. Trust me, this was way better than how we typically communicate. I mean, I guess it was way better, but as someone who like cares about communication, it was really just like, what is this, bro? It almost was like they didn't rehearse it, bro. It almost was like they didn't rehearse it. I'm like, you're supposed to do this a couple times. Like, you're a $500 billion company. Like, but regardless, that's just me being nitpicky about their communication. But the GPT-5 itself seems very exciting. And obviously the demo they showed off yesterday of coding an app in like 5 minutes, that was crazy. Now, the thing is, all these models are going to be able to do it. So the question is, what's the differentiator? I mean, Elon had like 100 tweets yesterday saying GPT-5 is not even impressive. Obviously, Elon is talking his book. But the point is, like, you've got all these models getting to the same route eventually. And I wonder what is going to make people use one model over the other. Square, by the way, down 2%. They had a decent earnings, not horrible. They also just got into the S&P. That's down about 2.1%. Anna says, my son is an engineer. He's definitely one of the few that talk. His father-in-law doesn't talk. You have to take the words out of his mouth. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. And look, it's okay, right? Some people are talkers, some people are not. Like engineers, they code, they make amazing products. They're not meant to present. But if you're an engineer that can present, like Jack Dobson, for example, Jack Dobson, you guys know Jack Dobson. You guys remember Jack? Let me pull up a quick. Jack Dobson, he is an AIP engineer at Palantir, and this guy is phenomenal at freaking talking. I mean, you become unstoppable, and I think he's really developing a name for himself in Palantir. Palantir has 4,000 employees. I think people know Jack because when you can talk and present your ideas and you're great at being an engineer, you just become very valuable. That's him in the white shirt.
We ran our first ever AIP boot camp in Chicago in July of 2023, and then we all got straight on a flight and off to Tokyo for the second ever boot camp. So I think the thing with Sombo, and like, remember that context, $100 million of impact. They were like the second boot camp ever to happen. Like, we didn't have all of these AIPCon talks. We didn't have all of that impact necessarily. They were ready to embrace not only a brand new product, but also the strategy, really revolutionizing the way that they run these processes.
I mean, dude, he's good. He is so good. He is so good at talking. So like when you find an engineer that can really talk and present, you become very, very, very valuable to the company as well. Amit will get fired if he was an engineer for talking too much. That's probably true. That's probably true. Yeah, because then you can do sales if you're an engineer, if you know how to talk. And then you can go to meetings and boot camps and you can close a deal. And like, look, you need someone to code the product, but you need someone to close the deal. Like closing the deal is where a lot of the value is. At the end of the day, with AI, the product should be able to be, obviously with a 10x engineer, get better and better. But when you have AI helping you, the product should be able to become the product. But that human interaction of closing the deal, getting them to sign the contract, that requires communication. That requires charisma, charm, and it's not easy to do that. And when you can do that, you become very, very valuable. I made a living and retired doing that as a sales engineer. Yeah. I mean, I just think to the company in general, like they're putting Jack on all these shows. He was at DevCon, he's at AIPCon, they're putting him at all these events. He was with Sham talking at an event. Like you start traveling to do all these different press things because now the company wants to put you in front of the media because you can talk and you can represent them in the right way. So it is definitely a benefit if you can do both. Tesla right here, 333. Palantir back to 187. Right back to 187. Okay, what else? What other headlines do we have? Meta, I don't think we have any other. I mean, Palantir and Hood, amazing day. Nebius, congrats everyone, amazing day. SoFi going red right here, but still holding 22. Grab back to 490. Epsilera, again, we talked about it. It's just a long-term thesis on this one, down 4. SoundHound, that's a big story for the day. Apple cracking 223, almost 224. That's massive. That's the best 3-day stretch of Apple since May. AMD, a little recovery from the lows of 165. Rocket Lab lost its pump. Honestly, I don't think those earnings deserved a 10% pump, but I also don't think they deserve a 10% dump. It was one of those earnings where if you're a shareholder for Rocket Lab, it's like, okay, cool, we're making progress, but you can't be that upset if the stock doesn't move like crazy. So I don't think that's even that big of a deal. And then the S&P, 636.21, basically up 0.5% on the day. You also have Trade Desk getting hit as well. Maybe we'll get fired as an engineer for streaming AK Media at work. Dude, I feel like any job I'm in where I'm not like talking and communicating and I'm just like stuck like by myself, yeah, I might get fired, bro. I might get fired. It's just hard, bro. I just like, my mind's constantly running. I constantly want to speak, all this stuff. So you're just constantly wanting to say something. Palantir, 187.25. 187. George says, hey, Mitt, I have an $85 call for Hood on March 2026. Would you roll out in a higher price or just sell today? That $85 call. So tell me how much you paid for that. I'm assuming you bought this call. March 26th, you're deep in the money now. So 85, that call today is worth $39.90. So let me know how much you paid for it. I mean, you don't really have to sell until a couple months before expiration, especially if you're so deep in the money. I wouldn't sell that. I would wait until December because I think Hood's going to 120 towards the end of the year. So I would not sell that. I wouldn't wait until like January, February, because you never know. 2026 in the beginning of the year, you might have some volatility. So I would wait towards the end of the year. I would give them S&P inclusion, another shot in September. I would wait a couple more months before getting rid of it. Unless you think Hood's going back to like 90, which, I mean, it was just there a week ago. And I think the momentum is rather strong on this. And, you know, we know all the products that are coming out in the next coming months with banking and the new active trader products, the expansion of tokenization. So I think all those tailwinds should allow it to be above 85. TSSI, yeah, they didn't have the best earnings. That's down 7% as well. I wonder if Palantir gets to 300 this year. I mean, dude, it's just absolutely blowing away our expectations. It's not crazy to say 200 now, right? Like it's $13 away. Like I know market cap, I get it. That would be crazy. I understand. But like when you're that close, I mean, who knows, bro? Who knows? It's pretty incredible. Nvidia right here, 183. I also do think, though, all of us wouldn't go, you know, I would hope none of us go crazy if Palantir takes a 10, 20% haircut and it's like back to 160, 150. But the thing about it, I was talking about with Steve last night, like if it got to 150, again, I think longs would be okay with that. You know, it would suck, but like I think we'd be okay with that because we know it's run up a lot. But if it got back to 150, that would be what, 15% decline roundabout? That would be about, yeah, 20% decline. Like that's a dip people buy. People buy a 20% dip. People buy them, you know, like I would buy a 20% dip. So it's like whenever one of your main positions dips 20%, even dips 10%, usually people at least nibble a little bit. And if people feel like they missed one of the greatest stories ever and they get it back at 150 or even 160, I think people take that opportunity. So again, I think we really get hit hard if there's something macro, if not, or if growth stops, but I don't see growth stopping. Not after that quarter, not after that guidance, and macro seems okay for now and strong, which means we should be able to potentially hold it. Duolingo tanking now. Yeah, dude. The earnings were fine on Duolingo. They crushed it. I think it's this GPT thing. So that's going to mess up my position in the stock draft with this thing falling. I don't even need this thing to go way above where I bought it at. I just need it to not tank. And the problem is it's tanking. I'm 1% away from Matt Money. So Matt's at 16.3. Tanner's at 7. Tanner just TTD got him today. I'm at 15.11, even with Duolingo at 365. Steve's flat. And then Chris is down 3.2. Oh, Take Two. I forgot. Chris has that one. Take Two. Why is Take Two down 9%? They announced Grand Theft Auto. Like, shouldn't people be happy about that? Isn't that a big one? Like, why is Take Two down 8% on this, or now 4% on the day? Is Uber a buy? I like Uber. Obviously, again, we talked about it yesterday. The narrative around robotaxi is the big deal, but it's a good quarter, and they're buying back 20 billion of their stock. I don't know if it's a buy here. Again, it was at 60 in January. It's at 90 now. Bill Ackman still holds a lot of it, though. I wonder if Ackman sold. Ackman holds a lot. He owns a $3 billion of Uber. We don't know if he sold yet. We'll find out in like a week. I wonder if he took some profits. But he made a decent chunk of money. ChatGPT is not going to kill Duolingo. I agree. I think it's very silly to say it's going to kill Duolingo. But if that's the market perception on Duolingo, then maybe that's why it's happening. Just feels unlikely. I mean, what would you do with the Nvidia 185 covered call? I would roll that out to January and try to get to like 210. And I think you should be able to do that without paying a lot of money. So I would get to 210, 220 in January. Are you buying Sound? I don't know enough about Sound, so I'm probably not buying SoundHound. But I mean, they had a great quarter. So if you own it, you know, you get to enjoy it. Up 28%. Mate, what do you think about Salesforce? Steve and I were talking about that last night as well. Again, Steve, he likes it. He thinks it's really bullish. It's funny. We were having the discussion on Salesforce. It was at 260. Palantir was at 150 like 2 weeks ago. And my retort was really simple. Steve's right about the numbers, but no one cares about Salesforce. And I think that's kind of what played out, you know? Just no one cares about Salesforce. Everyone cares about Palantir. Now, having said that, I think Salesforce is cheap here. They did acquire some company yesterday, some SQL to text API AI company. And I think their earnings will be good. Will their earnings be enough to get people excited about them as a company? I don't know. But is it cheap? Yes. Definitely, it is cheap. What do you think of Pagaya? Someone asked me about this. I have no idea. What does Pagaya do? PGY. I've been hearing about this one more. Are they like a financial company? Pagaya software company? AI lending network? Approve more loans and retain more customers with the Pagaya network. Okay, so they use AI underwriting, and I imagine they work with financial companies to... Pagaya is a network of 31 lending partners and 135 institutional investors. You integrate your origination system with our network through an API. You approve more customers in your brand experience and service them with Pagaya facilities, the transitions of the loan to the appropriate financial... Okay, so it almost like this is like the SoFi lending platform to an extent. They use their network of partners and institutional investors, and then they connect loans with the right people, with the right companies. I'll look into this one. Don't know much about it. I have heard about it. But if they are just a lending platform, I would rather buy SoFi. $2 billion market cap. So it is rather small, down 5% on the day. Mate, when are you buying BM&R? Again, I'm not that interested in buying BM&R because I know they're going to have to do a lot of dilution to be able to buy ETH. Now, granted, I'm bullish ETH. So it's just a question of, do I want to sit on the stock and deal with the inevitable ups and downs for the eventual glory of Ethereum getting to 15,000 and BM&R being leveraged against it, which I can't blame anyone for having that thesis. I think that thesis makes sense. I just, instead of buying BM&R, I add it to HOOD. I'm like, you know, like if Ethereum goes up, HOOD's going to do well also. And I really love HOOD. Like I've just, you know, I've been coming to this conclusion that it's good to have new ideas, but it's also good to just say, hey, if my current idea is also affected by a trend that I'm looking at, like blockchain, tokenization, stablecoins, yada, yada, then why not get more of my current conviction? And so it's just like, and Hood gave me the opportunity this year to just double, triple, quadruple, quintuple down on this thing. And so, I mean, I think ETH will help BMNR, it'll help Coin, it'll help Robinhood, and then it'll be good for Ethereum itself. But I do want to start buying actual like Ethereum, the coin. And so I think Tom Lee is right on his thesis. But you're sitting on Grab while they take market share. Yeah, but Grab, I have my thesis. I formed my thesis on this one, you know? So once you form your thesis, you got to just let that thesis play out. And sometimes that does mean dead money. That's correct. But again, it's just a different way of how you're seeing these play out. Also, I think it's mispriced. Like I think the market's being either incredibly manipulative or stupid. And I'm going out on a limb and saying that because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the stupid one and maybe the market's totally right about it. But I don't think that's the case. And that's what you got to do as an investor. You have to ultimately say, hey, are you right or is the market right? And when you think you're right and the market is acting like you're not right, that's when you have to ask yourself, how right do you think you are? That's also where, you know, a lot of alpha ends up existing. So here's the biggest thing I was talking about with my friend yesterday. I'm like, who the hell gave them 1.5 billion at a 0% coupon? Like in Southeast Asia, it's not easy to raise 1.5 billion, especially when their stock is down like 70% since inception. So what investors were like, hey, your stock that's been in the gutter, we're going to give you $1 billion or $1.5 billion and don't even worry about paying us interest. Like pay us back in 2030. Like they obviously were in that room and they you know, Grab couldn't legally say what they were going to do, but they probably hinted, hey, we've got a plan. Like if you give us the money, you're going to see some really good growth rates and you're going to see way more alpha than investing in like a 10-year bond right here. So I think they're going to do something with their money, but we'll see when. Are you going to get GTA 6? So I don't really play video games. The last GTA I played was Vice City. So I don't know how to if I got it, I wouldn't even know how to play it. I mean, like I haven't played it in 15 years, so I'm probably not going to get it because I don't play video games, but it's gonna sell out like crazy. It's likely going to sell out like crazy. I mean, I remember when GTA 5 came out and that was wild as well. Yeah, BMNR premiums are good as well. The premiums are good. Tech Bro Diary, thank you for the $10 super chat. Admit, what should I do with my Palantir 815 200 covered calls? Am I safe? 815 next week? Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that until it actually gets to 200. So I mean, if you had 200 like a month or 2 months from now, I would roll them. But for next week, I think you hold on. And if you get to like 195, 197, then you can focus on rolling it. But for now, I think you don't need to roll it right now. But if you wanted to go out like a couple months and get to 220, I mean, you could do that. I just think for next week, you should probably hold on to that. So Accenture has been having some issues in terms of their drop. I think, you know, one of the reasons Accenture and KPMG and Bain are partnering with Palantir is because a lot of what I'm reading is that these consulting firms are losing a ton of business from the government. Their earnings are not impressive. And a lot of companies are wondering, why the hell do I pay an Accenture if I can pay a ChatGPT? I mean, a lot of the business consulting is presentations and strategy and thinking, and Accenture's probably adopting generative AI to help them with that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're a company and you have $1 million contract with Accenture and you could pay $1,000 a month for the heaviest version of ChatGPT, and you could ask it the same questions and ChatGPT can build out entire business plans within minutes versus some 3-person consultant team that is assigned to your case over 3 months. I mean, it really is a game changer. So I think a lot of or just get a forward deployed engineer, yeah. So or an AI version of the forward deployed engineer. So it's a lot of, at least what I've been reading from some of the consulting blogs is that these companies are having a bit of an existential crisis. Now, look, they're way too big. Accenture is freaking $150 billion market cap, so it's not going anywhere. But you do have a lot of new clients wondering why exactly we're paying them as much money as we're paying them. And I think that's a broader headwind for the overall consulting industry. Trade Desk, 39.4%. 39.4%. That one is getting absolutely wrecked. Nintendo's at all-time highs, is it? Nintendo stock. Yeah, Nintendo's all-time highs, $24. $24 a share. All right, Nintendo. That is green. Year to date, Nintendo's up 65%. 65%. Oh, Chime had a decent earnings, but their stock didn't do well either. 13% down. Again, they IPO'd. This was their first earnings since IPO. I mean, growth was good from what I saw, but this was not something that the street seemed to be happy about. Is Salesforce facing the same issue as Accenture? Well, I don't think so, but some of the reason Benioff is pushing Agentforce so much is because I think he's seeing that agents theoretically could do what a lot of Salesforce, and not just Salesforce, but a lot of what these software companies are promising. And, you need net new ARR for the street to get excited. If companies start going down the agent route versus working with Salesforce agents, then, obviously that could be an issue. But Salesforce seems to have a deeper tech moat than a consulting firm like an Accenture. Ferrari now accepts Ethereum payments in the US and Europe. Wow. Race did not have the best earnings. That stock was down. But dude, Ferrari accepting Ethereum? This is why Tom Lee's going to be right about this, bro. This is why Tom Lee is going to be right about this. Like this thing. Yeah, there you go. Ferrari now accepts Ethereum in US and Europe. Salesforce is really sticky. This is part of Steve's thesis. It's like, it's hard when you're a company, because he works at a corporation, to like get rid of Salesforce, ServiceNow, all this stuff. Like once they're in, they're in. And it's a bit tough to get them out of there. But ultimately, we got to see long-term growth horizons. And that's where I think the Agentforce stuff is the most exciting. Okay, so let's, given we're talking about ETH, let's listen to what Tom Lee's saying right here. Here's his argument on a podcast he was on 2 days ago about the 100x potential for Ethereum.
It does. It'll be a step function. So I think the upside case for ETH is actually higher than, let's say, Bitcoin did 100x. Could Ethereum do 100x? I mean, Joe Lubin sort of has that kind of upside in his mind. Because Joe and I are in dialogue. I mean, we are really partners in trying to push ETH as a treasury, as a digital infrastructure. And I think that could happen because there is probably a significant probability that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin as well in terms of network value. And then, if you're, if someone thinks Bitcoin's at $1 million, then imagine what it means for Ethereum, because it is not just Wall Street financializing onto blockchain, but it's AI, but it's also part of the U.S. focus on AI dominance, right? Ethereum plays a strategic role there. Now, if MicroStrategy had triple the upside of Bitcoin, then that means, in theory, the Ethereum treasuries could triple whatever Ethereum could do. So, I don't think you're going to go wrong saying that the Ethereum treasuries are a good investment class. But if you're looking at what BitMine's doing, it's those other things I was saying distinguish it. And that's why, maybe we will be at the front end of that. But they should all do well, because Ethereum itself is undervalued.
I think maybe you're blowing some minds with some of these calls, even in crypto terms. So 100x of Ethereum at this point in time, would that be about 40 trillion? And you also said that there's the possibility here that Ether actually flippins Bitcoin, which is not canon, I would say, among crypto natives. Though there are a lot of ETH supporters and ETH bulls who have believed this for a very long period of time. But in the more immediate term, I don't know how distant that 100x future is. Where do you see Ether price going, say, the end of this year, or maybe even the end of this cycle, if you still think in terms of cycles, if you think this will play out in the next 12 to 18 months, let's say? Where do you think we go?
Sure. Well, I think the near-term price people should think about is Ethereum getting to 4,000. Because Ethereum is a better story than it was in December, and it was 4,000 in December. So, to me, we should at least recover to that level. And then Ethereum is a better story today than it was a year ago. And a year ago, Ethereum was at 0.05, ratio to Bitcoin. Right. To me, it's a stronger story, and there's reasons people are using Ethereum. So it's like a narrative. Well, at 0.05 Bitcoin, it's like almost 6,000. So just like saying, give it credit for where it is a year ago versus a year ago, it should be 6,000. But of course, there is going to be a lot happening between now and year end, including, other Ethereum treasuries starting to buy Ethereum plus Bitcoin goes up. So I think by the year end, it's not unreasonable to think 7,000, even 12 or 15,000 could happen. And of course, from there, then in 2026, the Fed starts to follow through on what it should be a dovish pivot. So central bank liquidity is rising. And so Ethereum should build upon those price levels.
That is why 2026 is going to be exciting. I'll link this in the chat for anyone who wants to watch it. Rate cuts are bullish, bro. Rate cuts are bullish. As long as we don't have a labor market that is, really bad. And I know we got some bad numbers last week, so we're going to have to see how that turns out. But if we have an economy that holds up and it's not fundamentally weak, Robinhood right there, 114, Palantir 186.70, and we get our rate cuts, we're going to have a very potentially strong next year because, again, you're going to have risk on assets that are going to benefit from lower rates. You're going to have a lot of money that needs to find assets to jump into. And they're going to end up likely allocating to the stock market. Now, one of the interesting things about this as well is that if the rate cuts can be a tailwind for earnings growth, the problem in 2021 was that rates were zero, so everything got super inflated, right? Because there was no checks and balances on risk on assets. Let's say rates get down to 3%. Which would be significantly down from here, like maybe 3.5. There is the check and balance, which is that 3.5% yield you can get in a money market fund. But B, the earnings were not good in 2021. If the earnings are good in 2026, and it continues with rate cuts and a decent labor market. Not to say there's not going to be dips and pullbacks and all this stuff, but you should be able to see some level of momentum, which is why I think Tom Lee's so bullish that, we can end the year out pretty strong and then have a good year in 2026. All right, S&P getting a little bit of a red candle. I don't see any headlines. It's 11:40 Eastern. We're probably just getting lunchtime coming up, people selling, taking profits. So I think we're going to end it out there. We'll be back on the market close and kind of see how this ends up playing out for the day. Hopefully we can hold on to some of this momentum. Palantir at 186 would be amazing today. Hood at 114 would be awesome. But Hood did get to 117. Palantir was very close to 188. And then you got Tesla, was at 334, now at 332. Not the worst thing either. So we are seeing some pretty good momentum. I'm not going to go on a rant. I've got to get out of here. But Steve will be on the market close. And we'll talk a bunch about the markets and obviously his new thoughts on Palantir. Bo Karen Cool, thank you for the 50 Canadian. Appreciate that. ETH for the win. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you to everyone who sent a super chat today. Really means a lot. And again, I'm very, very happy. People are doing well in this market. You don't get these years that often. And the past couple of years, we've gotten it. We went through a lot of volatility this year to maintain it. But, we've had opportunities and retail has been strong in those opportunities. And that doesn't mean we can't have weakness. That doesn't mean the rest of August can't suck or September can't be bad. But based on the earnings growth that we are all looking at every day, and hopefully based on some trade deals that are eventually going to be set in stone, seems like this market has some ability to control the momentum. There you go. That's what we got. Is Steve bringing cookies and milk for the market close? That is hilarious. One day he needs to do that. Actually needs to bring cookies. He basically brings some snack every time he's on. Literally, when I'm on the phone with him, bro, he's always has some. I can hear him gulping. Just like, what are you drinking? He's like, oh, it's a smoothie. It's my yogurt. I'm like, of course. Of course. All right, word of the day. What do we got? Word of the day. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will have Palantir weekly after the market closes as well. We will be covering the earnings. So if I don't see you for the rest of the weekend, I'll see you guys on Sunday. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to do a Sunday future show. There might be something I have to do on Sundays, the 10th. Yeah, I think we should be good on Sunday. If not, I will let you guys know. But Sunday, we should have our future show as normal. And so if I don't see people on the market close today, we'll see you later this weekend. Did Apple really break 225? Did they? Wow. Apple broke 225. Holy crap, dude. Market's liking it. Market's liking it. Vlad tweeted again. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Dude, Apple participating really helps. Helps the entire market. Yeah, Vlad just tweeted that the Vegas event is coming up in September. So, all right, word of the day. What do we got? Word of the day. Jason will be on next Tuesday. We will do Technical Tuesday next. Again, we just had earnings the past couple weeks, but we'll have Jason on next Tuesday. Word of the day is scary. There's no way I'm saying this one wrong. Scary. There you go. If this was scary, I would have lost it. A small rocky island. The scary vanished at a high tide, leaving boats at risk of striking the hidden rocks. The fishermen anchored their dinghy? What the heck is that? Near a lonely scary to check their lobster traps. Now I want to know what is the dinghy? A small boat for recreation or racing.
Dinghy.
Huh. Okay. There you go. There you go. All right. So a small mountain is what we got. Small rocky island is what we got with scary. All right, folks. That is it. That is it. Fix your internet while you're on your break. Dude, someone tweeted at me. They're like, hey, I live in New Jersey. I'm a networks engineer. I can help fix your internet. You guys are hilarious, bro. I don't know why it started being stupid today, but it should be better by the afternoon. All right, cool. That is it. I'll be back. Apparently, a lot of you guys know what a dinghy is. I'm the only one who didn't know what a dinghy is. A small boat. What, does everyone have a yacht or something? Oh, dude, I got to show. Hold on. Before we leave, I've got to show you this freaking Instagram reel that Steve sent me last night. There's wealth in this society, and then there's wealth in this society. I mean, this thing, bro, now that we're talking about dinghies, this right here is not dinghy. And I got to show you guys this. All right, this is Mark Zuckerberg's yacht.
Mega yacht fleet floating. He just added a new yacht to his collection, so we have updated numbers and they are insane. This is Zuckerberg's main yacht Launchpad, and he took delivery of this 390-foot mega yacht in 2024. She was built by Fedship and is the 45th largest yacht in the world. She can host 26 guests in 13 staterooms and is run by a crew of 48. A support yacht travels with her, which is a 220-foot, $30 million support vessel built by Damen Yachting. It carries his wake boats, Porsches, and submarine. He recently added a new support yacht to his fleet. It is a 262-foot support vessel previously named U-81. It carries helicopters, jet skis, tenders, and submarines. There's a certified helipad, a climate-controlled hangar, dive center, gym, and an industrial-grade crane to launch massive tenders, like this 72-foot Princess. It also features a full-size basketball court. To run this operation, it costs $131,506 per day, and that does not include the purchase price of the yachts. Do you think he deserves it? How much does it cost Mark?
Bro, a support yacht? That's a big dinghy. That is a big dinghy. All right, folks, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back on the market close, and we'll have Steve on, and we'll keep going from there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. See you guys in a few hours. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.